Hello and welcome to Is This England, a show where we talk about old England games and ask just how England was this.
Today, we're covering the most recent game since starting the podcast, and it does not disappoint. It's England hosting Germany in the much-delayed Euro 2020, when Grealish fever was sweeping the nation.
Jack Grealish, king of the free men, man of the match for a party in the evening. Twitter might tell you that I'm underachieving. What they gonna do when I can't win the league then? Unstoppable, unarrestable. Marks wanna put me in a box, but I got it all. First thing I'm tropical, so I got a few. Long moves for the breaks down at Montague. Front page and X-team for the bandits. What I did there, that's a story for your grandkids. I ain't even fast, I ain't even planned it. Do it every week on the best on the planet. Brumtown Baggio, or the Canio. Got your ex blowing up balloons on my patio. Don't talk to me cause you all know my wages. Fuck what you were, brother, you already made it.
Wow.
Sweeping the nation indeed, wasn't it, mate?
Big sweep, big Jack. And he's only one aspect of the show today.
One cog of this lovely podcast machine that we're going to be doing.
Yeah, absolutely. The most recent game since we started, and it feels like so long ago.
It really does actually, doesn't it? Even though it feels like that was kind of the last England that anybody cared about.
Yeah.
Like this kind of chunk that we're going to kind of cover here and kind of slightly what happened after it feels like nothing's happened since really, even though clearly there's been qualification for whatever.
Oh yeah. It feels like the team's gone into hiding a little
Yeah.
bit. Anyway, we haven't got long. I'm so excited. Sorry, I can't even get my words out. We have got long. We've got as long as we bloody well like. But let's get through the other stuff first. The time capsule. I'll start.
Yeah.
I was looking, and it's hard to pick something out of a time capsule from last year.
Yeah.
You know, it seems like nothing's really had the chance to grow and become like iconic, for want of a better word. There's obviously a lot of good films and TV and albums that came out last year, but I was looking through the list of like the best albums and the best songs, and I came across a song called "I Have a Love" by For Those I Love, and I hadn't listened to it for a while, maybe even approaching 6 or 7 months now since I last listened to it. But as soon as I saw that title, I was like, oh, that was my song of the year last year.
That was my thing.
Completely forgot about it. I never really. It's crazy because that song got me so hyped for their album, which I think was called "For Those I Love" as well. So the songs "I Have a Love" by For Those I Love from the album "For Those I Love."
Right, I see a pattern here.
Yeah, I never really got madly into the album, which is surprising. Maybe I need to go back and give it a go. But it's a really. Have you heard it?
No, I've never even heard it. No.
No. It's. I would say, just to put it quite crudely, it's a bit like The Streets. It's like spoken word. He's Irish, and it's like a really honest and touching song about the loss of his best friend, and it's got like voice notes of them, like, you know, messing about back in the day and having a laugh and what have you, like spliced into the beat. And
Jamie T-esque?
perhaps, yeah.
That's a bit that style, I guess, isn't it? You know, in a lot of his recordings, you get some like background, like fucking croissant.
Yeah.
That.
That's true, actually. I never thought of it like that. But God, the lyric, it's so good, and the sound of it, it's perfect. And the song a lot is about driving around late at night and listening to music, and it's a good one to have on the stereo late at night. So yeah, For Those I Love, with their song "I Have a Love."
Yeah, it's going in there now. That's it.
It's in. Doors locked.
That's it. Well, you got to reopen it now because I've got to put something into.
Oh yeah, unlock. Get the keys.
Right, I am putting in England versus New Zealand at Edgbaston Stadium, the 10th of June, and really it's till the 12th of June as well. Last year.
I bloody love rugby.
Rugby at Edgbaston, I'd quite like to see that actually. That'd upset quite a few people.
I've got no idea then. So what is this a Six Nations game?
This is England cricket versus New Zealand cricket, which and I attended the first two days of this. Now, the game itself very bad. Very, very bad. England were rubbish. I think it was done inside 4 days. England were just not even kind of in it after the second day.
Just 4 days.
Yeah, just the 4.
Rolled over quick, didn't they?
Mate, I'll get you into cricket one day. Don't you worry. We're going to a bloody 100 game at some point. So
That'll be the start of it then.
yeah, that'll be it. But
Sorry, I'll stop mocking.
No. So the reason this is in here, though, this was the first event in the UK, and it was a test event to see if you could get 100% capacity in a stadium or an arena again without any restrictions.
And were there any COVID spreading as a result?
Well, I didn't get it, so
So no.
so I didn't get it, and the people I was with didn't get it. But yeah, it was just to be out again and to be amongst people, to be out in the sunshine. Watching cricket is something I do really love, but as well during lockdown, it was one of those things that when it was put on, it welcomes sport back for a lot of people too. So for that to be the first thing that I went to go and watch, and yeah, when I say there were no restrictions, there were really like
Yeah, I think I remember seeing videos.
It was so weird just seeing it all like at the start of the day, a couple of people were walking around with masks and going into like the shorter areas and being careful about it. And then, yeah, it got to like 2:00 on the first day, and there was just nothing. It was just the last days of Rome. People just doing whatever they wanted, going in and out of like doors the wrong way, which we've been.
Well, did you say it was the 10th to the 12th?
10th to the 12th was when I went of June. Yeah, so I went for the first 2 days,
Yeah.
and then I think on the last day of it, on the 12th, I think that's when 10th to 11th. That's when the Euros actually started.
I was going to say, so England's first game of the Euros was the 13th.
Yeah, I had a friend up for it as well, Adam, one of the podcast listeners, and he was with me for about a week, and it was very draining, let's just say, but it was really fun because we went to the first 2 days of that. We had kind of I think we had at least one day else, and then England started their Euros campaign. So yeah, just being able to go outside and do things again, really, that's kind of what I really enjoyed. And yeah, again, the game itself, rubbish, nothing to write home about, apart from, I remember seeing I think it was on BBC Sport or something, they were covering it, and they said at 2:00 it was like an Ashes Saturday at Edgbaston, and an Ashes Saturday is like just bedlam everywhere. Yeah.
That sounds amazing, really. I mean, it's crazy to think, and hopefully we never have to go through it again, like the whole lockdown and everything. But, I think all the way through, it was that thing of delayed gratification where we were like, we are going to get out of this one day. When we do, that's going to be a serious party.
Yeah.
And then I was always thinking, when we actually do, nothing can live up to it.
No.
But we've got a little game to cover here today that really does. That really was worth waiting for.
It was, yeah, absolutely.
So why have we chosen this one? We're starting to analyse a bit deeper as we go along. Why we are picking each game.
Yeah.
Do we need to analyse this one? Because it's just effing marvellous.
It is brilliant, isn't it? I mean, there's a slight, there was a slight bit of theory. I always wanted to do this game. Both of us did. But the reason we're doing it now instead of, a bit later or before is England are playing Germany in the Nations League around the time of this release. So we thought, well, why not do a couple of games around this time where England play Hungary, Italy, Germany. And this is the one that sprang to mind. Because I know we've said we've covered some sloggers for England, let's say, recently. So this is like a more of a higher moment, I think.
Well, when you just mentioned that, actually, that sounds interesting. The Nations League. When you said it felt like the team's been in sort of hibernation since the end of the Euros. It's all starting to warm up again now, isn't it?
I know it's strange because we haven't got a summer to look forward to with a tournament, which we actually should be doing by now.
Oh yeah,
because really this is when the World Cup should be. It should be literally like 2 months away, is it? Like from when we're recording this, or a month or so away, and instead we've got to wait till Christmas.
I know. Well, we record the podcast right by central heating, which has to be turned off, and at the moment that's fine. But come winter, when we're gonna have to be doing loads of podcasts. We're going to be freezing.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see what it's like. But it's going to be fun nonetheless. I know we've got some really good games around then too to kind of carry on the World Cup theme. But yeah, this is it's the summer. It's international football. It's when it's at its most interesting period. Let's do it. No need to go into the huge detail regarding how England qualified for Euro 2020. Especially as their final qualifying game had come 18 months before the game got to cover today.
That's crazy. Like by the time the tournament comes round, the squad is quite different, quite drastically different from the World Cup. We'll go through the squad in a bit though.
Yeah.
But the top of the group, England, winning all the games, with the exception of a 2-1 loss to Czech Republic, who finished in second place. And would obviously be drawn in our group for Euro 2020 / happened in 2021.
Are you going to say that every time?
I feel they should have changed it to Euro 2021.
They got all the stickers and the paninis. They got them already. All those Euro 2020 shirts that everyone's going to rush out and buy.
Yeah, but you could have got like white pen and got like, what's it called? Tick? Not tick. Pritt stick? No, not Pritt stick. What's the stuff that you write over? You write over pen and it's like a white little bit of paint.
Oh, okay, yeah. The thing that was used in the 90s and no one's used for about 20 years. Yeah, we should have got that out.
Use loads of that.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, that's going to bug me. Anyway. Yeah, so obviously we were getting our preparation on for the tournament, even behind the scenes, and the world shut down. We've kind of already covered that, but the tournament was postponed. So an interesting thing about this tournament is that it was held across a number of different countries, and that obviously changed a little due to COVID. What are your thoughts on that?
I really didn't like it. I didn't like the idea that they weren't going to have it in one kind of set location, because I think when you look at World Cups, they have themes, don't they? And they have a feeling around them. Like when the World Cup went to Brazil, you get kind of the samba and all the marketing that goes all around it. And when you're watching it on TV, you kind of get a bit of a feeling. When it went obviously to Africa, you got the Sailors for better or worse. It's a distinctive World Cup. Even, I mean, Russia, it was kind of a bit of an identikit. This could be anywhere. Qatar, it's going to be like, it could be anywhere with empty stadiums probably.
Yeah.
But I do like when you some of the games we'll cover in the future, when you kind of go to Mexico or Spain or somewhere like that, you can almost pick it out of like, right, that's what the goals look like there. There's a feeling to it all.
I like the idea. I like the, by the way, it's Tipex, what I was trying to think of.
Oh, there you go. Have you Googled that while I was talking?
No, it just came to me.
Okay.
Yeah. But I quite like the idea. I like the idea of, I don't know, like England starting the campaign somewhere, then having to scurry off to like Denmark or something like that to play a game, and then you can win that and maybe come back, or you're just going like, I guess for the players it would have been really hard, because I mean you're just wasting your rest days or your training days with travel. But I don't know. There's something about it that I liked.
I don't mind the idea of it, but in reality, I think actually, well, how do they make these decisions? It's who pays the most for certain games, isn't it? And it's like, well, actually, Azerbaijan have got 3 games, and all the Welsh fans have got to travel all the way out there to come all the way back, play a game somewhere else, and then go back to Azerbaijan. And it's like, well, you're not, again, it's that thing of, well, fans are so important because we want the TV to look good when the games are on. But in reality, you're just shafting the fans.
Won't somebody think of the Welsh fans, eh?
Well, yeah, exactly.
But for England...
Well, it doesn't matter for England because we just buy the home games, basically.
Well, yeah, for England, I mean, the change in circumstances, I think there were always going to be... They're going to play 1 or 2 of the group games at Wembley, and the semi-finals and the final would be held at Wembley. That was always the plan.
I think the semis and the final were, yes, in general, like England had bought those games, basically the FA had, but then England's ones themselves, I don't know how it worked of like, well, we'll buy these games because they're ours, or if someone else could have bought them, but
did England play every game at this tournament at Wembley?
Bar one.
So
there's only one game that they didn't, which we'll get to in a bit. But in reality, when with the pandemic affecting different places across Europe, they had to change some of the agreed stadiums. So 4 matches originally were scheduled to be played in Bilbao, but they had to get moved to Seville.
You're gutted about that.
I know, yeah. Well, England weren't going anyway, and I wasn't going. I'd been burnt too easily by going to Gdansk and getting stuck there for a day extra. So I definitely was not going to be going anywhere else. 3 games originally scheduled to play in Dublin were moved to St. Petersburg as well. So they were said that that's out. But as well as one originally scheduled round of 16 match moved from Dublin to Wembley. This would be really crucial for England, who instead of potentially winning their group and travelling to Dublin to face a team from the group of death, they would instead be hosting them in Wembley if they could get through. I mean, could you imagine the atmosphere of this game in Dublin?
So this is the game that would have been in Dublin.
This is the game that would have been.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
It would have been great, but can you imagine the vitriol that would have rained down from the stands at that point for England?
Yeah, it would have been nasty. It would have been nasty. What was the group of death? Is that Germany's group?
That would be Germany, Portugal, Hungary, and France. Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, again, anyone. The Irish fans are supporting the other team, aren't they? I mean, that's just taken as red, clearly.
Well, we'll get to the madness of that group as well, won't we, shortly? But we've got traditional bit of English madness to get on with first, because let's not forget England always have a few problems leading into a major tournament. It feels like Well, quite a few different problems actually. One, let's just talk about it, is that it felt very much to me uh, like the country was split down the middle between people booing England's players for taking the knee, which had become a big thing over lockdown and rightfully continued coming out of lockdown.
Yep.
Obviously, between supporting that and people booing that, and there was a game. Which game was it?
I think it's the Austria and the Romania games, who are both the two of the friendlies that took place. Both happened in Middlesbrough. So Austria was the first one of the friendlies leading up to it that took place there, and that's kind of where the first incident happened, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and booing, and I just felt like, right, well, we're going to embarrass ourselves on the world stage here, and if England start their tournament at Wembley and the crowd boo the players before the game,
Yeah.
we've waited 60, no, not 60 years because we had the Euro 96, but we waited nearly 30 years for a tournament. We get it, or a version of a home tournament. You know, certainly a lot of games at home if we did go all the way, and you're starting off by booing and showing the world that you're openly like, anti-racist.
Yeah, that's the phrase I've used, isn't it? It's I'm taking an anti-racist stand. Well, what's two double negatives then?
Yeah.
Well, what's a double negative then? Well, let's see where you're going there. I mean, yeah, it really created controversy around the whole country. You know, you also had various politicians just showing themselves up by being anti-racist. As we say, thankfully the boos died down. The more fans that came in, because I guess when you're in a stadium or in an open space, it's much easier for the sound of that to travel in comparison to, I mean, what's the sound of support is usually just quiet silence. But when you go to games now, when players take the knee, you find pretty much everyone claps, don't they?
Yeah, I'm not. I mean, it wasn't really. There wasn't an etiquette as such. I'm not sure whether people were going. I'm not sure whether people who supported. I mean, it seems mad to say people who supported when who wouldn't, but anyway, some people didn't because they're mental. But maybe like a show of support would have been silence, you know, and to let them do it. But when you have to combat the boos, then obviously now people applaud.
Well, you also get as well, you have like minute silences you used to have as well, or a period of silence. And that, I mean, in some stadiums, that became like, shit, it's 30 seconds and people are getting restless or it's for a silly reason. And now these days you don't see them anymore. It's a minute's applause, isn't it, when someone passes away or there's been something. And you know, I feel really bad about a society when we can't just respect, you know, someone like a commemoration of something and you just quiet. We just can't even be quiet anymore. There's always going to be some idiot that's going to try and shout and say something. And you've got that case here as well where they want to make a stand. I mean, I remember you saw absolute morons in front of their own televisions, facing away from the television, recording themselves booing. And I just think, what are you on? Like, this is what, like, as if you've really gone mad in the lockdowns.
Adult men as well.
Yeah, like people with kids, surely. like you've got this far in life, and that's how you're choosing to spend your time. But,
Shouldn't laugh really, but God, you got to, else you'd cry.
well, yeah. But
Anyway,
yeah,
that's that.
I think that's kind of addressed there, isn't it?
You know where we stand, and thankfully it wasn't a problem by the time the tournament did start. Really,
no. I think like I say, you had enough right-minded people in Wembley in these places not to be anti-racist.
Speaking of right-minded,
Yeah.
was Gareth Southgate right-minded for considering Trent Alexander-Arnold potentially surplus to requirements? This was one of the big controversial points before the tournament.
Yeah, in those friendly games, Alexander-Arnold had been picked, but
let's talk about Trent Alexander-Arnold because he hasn't featured, has he? Right?
I don't think we've had him in a game yet.
He may have been on the bench for the Nations League, but I think it's fair to say that he has been one of the best English footballers on the planet for a couple of years now, putting in amazing performances for Liverpool, doing truly like incredible things numbers wise and just moment wise. Unfortunately, he is not England's guaranteed starting right back because we've got an absolute surplus.
It's the classic thing we always talk about England are really, really good in one position, but they've got about 4 players that can play there and then really, really lacking in a couple of others as well. So you can never quite get the balance right, can you? I mean, yeah, he's never really had a long-running stance under Southgate. I mean, just before the tournament, one newspaper had even suggested that, you know, Southgate wasn't going to include him in his preliminary squad. So that's 30 players. And allegedly, he was never going to, you know, call him up. I mean, it was totally untrue. And days later, Southgate announced the squad and he was in it. So it's just someone trying to make a name for themselves, isn't it? Well, I've heard this.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, his competition is strong. You got Reece James, who had just done so well towards the back end of the season,
Won the Champions League with
for
Chelsea.
the Champions League.
Yeah.
Kyle Walker, who just won the Premier League and had been so crucial in the World Cup, and also is capable of playing at centre back as well in a free.
Yeah.
And Kieran Trippier, who Southgate clearly loves. So when you look at it like that, it's not so ridiculous to think that Trent might not get a call up, but. That was a lot of it was like, again, that typical thing of focusing on who's not playing rather than who's playing. Like, we should just be happy that we've got 4 good right backs. But instead it was like, well, he's not going to pick that one, is he? And then that's going to ruin everything.
And trying to make a story out of it as well, of like, well, you've got to find a way of getting him in your team. But it's like, well, in reality, this is what's working. Like, England aren't exactly doing bad up to this point. If like England weren't performing, the right backs weren't there, and it was a real problem position, then you'd go, yeah, you've got to try and get him in. But in reality, it wasn't going to happen. I mean, he went to the 2018 World Cup more for experience. I think he maybe played a game or two, and he again went for experience. But in this Austria game, he wins on his 13th England cap. Still 22 at this point, so really young, and he still is now. But picked up an injury, ruled him out of the tournament, and really it took away the big media story that would have been brewing under the surface of, you need to get him in that team.
Yeah. He hasn't nailed down his place since. Do you think there's anything in Southgate not really fancying him as a international player?
I think he's had 3 more caps since. I know he's had some injury problems, magically when it comes to playing for England, and you don't know how passionate he is for playing for England or not, because he's so settled and so beloved at Liverpool and by the manager and the setup around him. He probably hasn't got those tools to do the same thing for England. I mean, he even played in midfield, I remember, for England on one occasion, and totally didn't work. And because you're taking away his qualities of actually. And playing at right back, he might as well be playing at right wing. He tucks into midfield as well.
Everyone's convinced he'll be a midfielder one day, but I think just
don't
force
bother.
that.
Why bother? He's clearly been incredible in his own position. Why are you trying to change him and make him something else? I mean, Southgate experimented with that, didn't work. And
would you expect him to be nailed on as a starter by the World Cup?
I don't think so, because there's been such a short turnaround of time really for the World Cup. I mean, can you see Southgate really, if he keeps, for example, playing this back 5 or 4, where's he going to fit in? Because you've still got all these other players kind of in their prime doing what they do. He's so young. You imagine by the next Euros, there's more of a thing of, well, there should be a way of getting him in the side.
I always feel like Trippier's fell by the wayside, but then you look and he's just not. Has he won the league with Atletico Madrid? He was playing so well for Newcastle before he got injured. I mean, maybe it might take him longer to recover from that injury than that might be Trent's in, but he's out of this tournament. He's out of Euro 2020 / was actually held in 2021.
There you go.
There was another defensive concern with an injury picked up to Harry Maguire, who had obviously been such a rock in 2018, an absolute definition of an ever-present in the defence for England. I mean, never going to drop him, was he? Although I seem to remember around the time, didn't he get sent off in a game?
I think I want to say that was after.
Okay.
It was in maybe one of the Nations League games around this time.
I bet the time when he put his fingers in his ears, when it was obviously not that same game, but anyway, we're pushing ahead. We were going post-Germany game. But he picked up an injury playing for Manchester United in a game against Aston Villa. It was towards the end of the season, and it didn't quite 100% really make, but it was a race against time.
Yeah, race against time. And, he picked up the mantle for being that player for England of, well, it's me that's going to be the one who probably going to miss a game or two. Usually it's Wayne Rooney. He's no longer with us. So it's going to be Maguire who does that. And a really important player for England, really, because he never really let England down. He's always been solid, whether he's been asked to play in a 2 or a 3 for England.
And with all the, I don't mean this in a bad way, but without Harry Maguire, we're starting Tyrone Mings.
Yeah, who I think to you and I, he's a downgrade to that. And I think if you look past Tyrone Mings, I don't think there's a great contender there. I mean, I think we look at the squad in a moment and we see Connor Cody's there and absolutely fine and consistent player for Wolves, but really only operates in a back 3.
I was going to say, you have to, I mean, Southgate does end up playing for it at the back for the majority of the tournament, but
I guess he then lacks the ability to change that in game as much, because you've got to bring probably Cody off to do that, and if you're going to play Kyle Walker as one of those 3, then you're not going to play him as one of the 2. Then are you, the back 4?
And Ben White's obviously been pretty decent for Arsenal. A bit of a rough start since he's moved there, but he felt like a bit of an unknown quantity at the start of this tournament. I don't think England's squad depth at centre-back has improved much.
No. I think there's a couple of players you may say, like Tomori apparently is doing very well in Serie A, but I guess are you really going to include him on the back of it? And John Stones, it seems to be he's out of the City team a lot of weeks, and all of a sudden he's back in, he's back playing for England.
Well, he was back in at this point, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He'd been in going into the World Cup 2018, then out, then back in.
Yeah.
And thank God, because we needed him. England obviously didn't, no spoilers, but they didn't exactly embarrass themselves at this tournament, and John Stones was as big a part as any of these. What Southgate built was a squad.
Yeah,
isn't
definitely. And it's a unity in a team as well, where they'll all kind of stick up for each other. They'll all have each other's back, and as we see in the games shortly, I think they'll always kind of dig in for each other as well, and be a bit street smart and whatnot. But yeah, we kind of looked at the preliminary squad and who was cut down from that. So you had Dean Henderson was replaced by Aaron Ramsdale because of injury. You had Alexander Arnold dropping out. So Ben White came in, as we said, kind of cover it right back, centre back, and in holding midfield if it was needed.
Yeah.
You had Ben Godfrey, James Ward-Prowse, Mason Greenwood, Ollie Watkins, and Jesse Lingard, probably the most unluckiest player to not get a call up.
Yeah, well, these are the players who are cut. Well, it's hard because you can't imagine that time again when Jesse Lingard was doing so well, because he's done nothing since, because he's not been getting a kick at Manchester United. But
no, but you have to remember how good he was at West Ham. He was kind of seen as, we'll do all right. But at one point, I think he got more goals than games, and he'd been scoring a lot and playing really well for them. And he's kind of unlucky not to be in that team. But we'll go through the actual team in a minute.
Some people would say Ward-Prowse as well, but yeah, I mean, both of those. I think he got the squad perfect. There's nobody there. The closest I would say to would be Lingard, to somebody who probably should have got a call up. The keepers he took. So this is the squad now. England squad locked in for the tournament. Jordan Pickford, obviously.
Yeah.
Sam Johnston and Aaron Ramsdale, as you mentioned. Defenders: Ben Chilwell, Connor Cody, Reece James, Harry Maguire, Tyrone Mings, Luke Shaw, John Stones, Kieran Trippier, Kyle Walker, and Ben White. Some good talents in there. Sorry, I want to talk. Oh God, I'm so. Midfielders: Jude Bellingham, Jordan Henderson, Mason Mount, Calvin Phillips, Declan Rice, and this attack.
Yeah.
Oh, chef's kiss. Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, Marcus Rashford, Bukayo Saka, Jadon Sancho, Raheem Sterling, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and Harry Kane. You could even put Mason Mount in amongst those attackers.
Yeah, I think it's going to change the way people see forwards, attackers, midfielders these days, isn't it? I think when we've looked at England squads in the past, it's very similar to your strikers are here, but whenever you see them announced on England the social channels these days, you get all these other players that are just kind of mixed in the forward line, don't you?
Yeah, what an outstanding forward line. I mean, the midfield is strong. It looks stronger now because of how much Jude Bellingham has come on since, and obviously Declan Rice as well. Jordan Henderson in there.
England going to the tournament, they had concerns over Harry Kane as well, who seemingly struggled for fitness and form. Perfect England captain. That's a tick.
Yeah, it's part of the job.
Yeah,
he's keeping up the tradition. Him and Harry Maguire, who's fighting for his fitness.
Yeah,
Come on, then let's get to the joyous stuff. We've got through all of the agony. So I say joyous. We've got the group. Got the group, and it did get off to a joyous start. I remember this one very well. Barbecues on. Again, it's that lockdown. We're coming out of lockdown sort of thing.
Yeah.
Croatia. Can I surprise you? We're playing Croatia.
What a shock, isn't it?
Yeah. It's a game England would win 1-0, and it was notable by just how little drama there was in this game, and obviously a goal for Raheem Sterling, who, shock again, had been criticised by some going into tournaments. I felt like everybody was just play Jack Grealish, and I don't care who you have to drop, including Sterling, but he's not going to... He showed in this game, the Croatia game, he did not think twice or care about any perceived criticism. I think Pep had dropped him towards the back end of the season, and maybe Foden had taken his place.
I think so, yeah, because I think Foden starts the first game as well. I think he hits the post in the first couple
I
of
remember that.
too.
With his Gaza haircut as well.
Oh, yeah, of course. But, Sterling came in and... He was talk about dropping him. I don't think Southgate was ever going to drop him. I think because he'd not scored for England that much going into the tournament. And I think it was seen as, well, you've got all these other guys. They're the ones that we want to play. But instead, Sterling kept faith in him, scored the only goal of the opener of the tournament, No problem. Southgate did pull something a bit strange when he had Kieran Trippier playing at left back over the two players who were perceived to have started the tournament, Chilwell and Shaw.
That was surprising. It just shows how much he rates Trippier. I mean, the man is a defensive animal, and he's so good attacking. That's nothing against Shaw and Chilwell. I think he may have explained it at the time as he wanted somebody to cut in and make crosses. I think it was just that expert delivery from both sides.
I think so, yeah. And maybe it was someone on the Croatia right who actually, if he's a right footer coming up against someone who can maybe counter that, it may be a bit better than in Chilwell or Shaw. But yeah, seems being overcautious by Southgate, but as solid as ever. And by the end of the game, I think it was just like, yep, he's got it right. Let's move on.
Yeah, he's got it right. Absolutely. Great win to start the tournament. Up next was a huge game against Scotland at Wembley.
Yeah.
Flipping it on a Friday night.
Yep. Again, it was maybe not got it right this time, I'd say, Southgate, but maybe that's down to the players. Maybe it's down to the occasion getting to them. I mean, it felt like the entire population of Scotland came to Wembley for it, didn't it?
Yeah. And it was a 0-0 draw in the end.
A 0-0, yeah. And
we didn't play particularly great, but again, you say maybe Southgate got it a little bit wrong, but from the start he was trying to use the whole squad, wasn't he? He wasn't like, I'm going to run these 11 players into the ground for 6 weeks. You know, if you want to win a tournament, it's a lot of games to play in a short amount of time. So he made a few changes, including bringing on Luke Shaw, Reece James as well.
Yeah, and apart from 0-0, not really much notable apart from we watched it together in a pub.
First time I'd seen you for ages.
I know, yeah, on a Friday night it was really fun. And then also the other thing that came from the game is Mason Mount and Ben Chilwell couldn't play in the final group game due to having to self-isolate after coming into close contact with Chelsea teammate Billy Gilmore. That is a horrible thing. I just hope never comes back. England went into that game knowing a win would see them finish top. Southgate again changed his team for the Czech Republic game, bringing in Harry Maguire for his first minutes of the tournament. Wow. Kyle Walker.
And just to say, sorry, Tyrone Mings had done really well in both games, really.
Solid as anything,
Hadn't put a foot wrong.
No,
but I appreciated Southgate's decision to go Harry Maguire. He's one of my favourites, you know.
Yeah, and a leader out there as well. And in the end in Southgate's eyes and a lot of people's eyes an upgrade. But yeah, Kyle Walker came in, and then the surprising selection of Bukayo Saka and the nation's sweetheart, Jack Grealish.
Jack Grealish. Heavy in the evening. Do you remember the Jack Grealish song by The Manor?
No.
Oh, I was rinsing that all summer. That was one of my songs of the summer.
We should have put that in.
Proper cool. They're quite a decent band, to be fair, but they're just like, they put out this tune and they were like, we just think Jack Grealish is going to be the man at this tournament. And I think there's a video of him singing it with them at a gig in Ibiza, after the tournament. Well, it's a good tune, man. But
he came in and it was really the point. I remember being in pubs and everyone just saying, "Play Jackie, bring him on," and things like that. And when he'd come on or we'd be around, it'd just be like, it was just like a celebrity had walked into the pub, wasn't it? Everyone would just go mad.
Do you remember the Scotland game when we watched it and his face was shown on the TV and everyone was like jumping up on tables like going,
I mean, we were in the Midlands, so like you're going to get a more swell of support. But even my friends who were like big Wolves fans or Albion fans, they were all still.
And he would have still been a Villa player then. Can you imagine how buzzing the Villa fans would have been if he, like, thinking he could be the guy who, you know, potentially scores a tournament-winning goal for England or just lights the tournament alight, man. You know, I had those conversations with people, and I felt it the same. I was like, I think he might be flipping player of the tournament, you know, because he's just. I think we're getting into it now. We're getting into the Grealish mania.
It was. I mean, you get these little periods with England, don't you, where it's like everything is on one person, but it felt strange that everything was kind of on one person who wasn't playing. And it became such a talking point that by the time he plays in this game, I mean, he repays Southgate's faith in him in the 12th minute, sets up the goal for Sterling and puts England through. And I don't think he played the whole game, but it was seen as like, right, is this the moment he comes in, he stays in the team now for the next game? And a couple of days later, I think it was the day after, England would learn who they would play in that round of 16 game.
Wild. This is all right. Let's have a look at Germany.
Yeah, let's do Germany now.
But there's a lot to get to with this group. So they sailed through qualification, unsurprisingly. But I mean, if you remember the World Cup in Russia.
Yeah,
they're done pretty badly by their own standards, and it didn't feel like there was much confidence that they would improve. I think your man Yogi Hadn't he announced that he was going to leave at the end of the tournament regardless?
Yeah, he was going no matter what. I mean, it did feel like Germany had gotten a bit stale. I mean, you kind of look at the World Cup and they'd lost the open game to Mexico. They beat Sweden in the last minute when they had 10 men. Tony Cruz free kick. I mean, an incredible moment, really, an incredible goal by Cruz.
Yeah, so let's just track back to the World Cup then, because they would have been... Were they the holders?
They were the champions. They were the favourites for it. They were kind of starting to bring in the new breed, who we see today. And then, but you've also still got the experienced guys in there, and it's just like, wow, Germany, without a doubt, one of the favourites. But they took qualification for the knockout stage down to the last game and actually lost their final game. Just so un-German, really, isn't it? They lost 2-0 to South Korea and crashed out the tournament. And
yeah, I remember watching that at work. My boss was out, and it was just unbelievable. It was like, I don't even care if I do get caught, because this is just mad. Madness is unfolding.
I remember, I think I was at the gym and I think I was on the treadmill and I was just like, oh, listen to the end of the Germany game then. And I put 5 Live on and I just heard Chris Sutton losing his shit. It was incredible. I've not been able to find a clip of it.
I'm gutted. I was just about to ask, yeah.
I know, yeah, I didn't find it, but he was pretty much just openly laughing and just being such disgust at Neuer as well. That such to the point that actually the head of 5 Live had to give a statement saying that the coverage was not smug euphoria after receiving complaints on social media from a lot of people with muck in their surnames.
Oh wow!
If you can guess that, I've got a couple in the notes, but it's just people just being outraged because Chris Sutton was quite relieved, because in the end of the day, he's English, and it's rare you see a Germany team kind of get put out of a tournament like this, or in any circumstances really. And
it was just shocking to see.
Yeah,
it's almost what reaction. I mean, he should probably have been professional.
But at the end of the day, he's a pundit. He's not like he's a commentator or something like that. I know he's kind of a co-commentator, but in reality, it was just such a weird thing. You don't know how to react. It was such a big thing that Germany got knocked out.
Yeah. So they brought a bit of a new, the start of a new generation to Euro 2020 / was held in 2021. Players like Leroy Sané, the aforementioned Kai Havertz, and Timo Werner. Obviously, you've got Thomas Muller.
Yeah.
And his boys there, players. Also, I seem to remember this tournament being like, yeah, Rudiger is actually quite good.
It may have just been around that time. I don't know if he was at Chelsea. Yeah, 2018 or 2020.
I think he'd had a rough start to his time at Chelsea, but I remember watching a few games and I was like, oh, he's pretty decent. But I mean, they had the group of death with a capital D.
Yeah, one of the toughest groups in recent memory. Really, they had Portugal, who always seem to be in one of these groups. I don't know why.
Yeah, they're the kings of the group of death.
Yeah, and usually, sometimes they make it out, sometimes they don't. It's always interesting with them. But you also had World Cup holders France and Hungary, and they'd opened the campaign, Germany, with a 1-0 loss to France in a terrific game that could have gone either way, but France just squeaked it, really.
Yeah, they then played Portugal, falling behind to a Cristiano Ronaldo goal before scoring 4 goals of their own. A bit of a comeback win with your man Gersons setting up 2 and scoring 1 himself. A player who I'm not really sure I've seen much of since the Euros.
No, I think he may have played for Sampdoria. He's one of those players that kind of comes in a tournament, you're like, never heard of this person, and by the end of it, you're like, there's no way he's going to stay at there. And you're just like, well,
he has.
Yeah, most likely has, I imagine. But he was really good in that game and really good in the tournament, actually.
So, when that Ronaldo goal goes in and Germany are staring down the barrel of 2 losses in 2 games, you're thinking, well, and they've gone out in the World Cup in that fashion, you're thinking, well, this is actually this is that once in a generation time when Germany just do really rubbish,
Yeah, like 20 years previously, they were really poor at the Euros as well. England actually beat them there as well, which is kind of a big sign for Germany going, right, we need to change stuff here. Even England are beating us here.
But they were not out. I mean, they came back in that Portugal game, quite convincing fashion, actually. And it's like, okay, so it took them like a game and a half, but now they are truly warmed up.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's not straightforward from there for them.
No.
Where do we even start with this last night? And it wasn't until I looked at the notes that I remembered this. This was insane.
Yeah, so they go into the last game needing to get something out of the game. They play Hungary. Germany fell behind twice to Hungary in the final game, and they were heading out altogether of the tournament before Goretzka equalised late on, kept them alive.
I can almost picture. I can feel the heartbreak a little.
I remember watching this game. I think I was working at the time at home, and I think I was working on a bid or something. I remember having this on in the background, just kind of going on, and just every now and then you pop up and see what was happening in the other game as well.
I feel like for me it was one of those where I was watching it at home and I was like in the group chat and a lot of the lads had like Euros fatigue.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're like, oh,
England had just played the day before as well. It's like, right, we've got time before the next like big rounds come
I don't
in.
have to watch all the games, you know. And then I was like, seriously watch this.
Have you seen what's going on here?
Yeah. You made the note that at one point every team was going to be playing England.
Yeah. So England's next opponents changed 8 times throughout the evening, which is just madness. At one point they would have been playing one of those 4 teams at any point.
And right up until that last minute, we were thinking we're playing Hungary in the next round. No offense to Hungary,
but
right?
I remember kind of that happening and going, oh yes, we'd take Hungary, then going, that could be really embarrassing. That could be very England embarrassing because Iceland's still only a couple of years away from all that, isn't it?
And also, I mean, Jesus, I wouldn't want France or Portugal either. I'd rather us have Germany.
Yeah, I think at this point,
especially after this Hungary game where they've been run so close, you know.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think you were like, well, but then again, it's Germany and it's England. I mean,
I would not have wanted us to play France and Portugal with the holders.
Yeah, they were, but again, Portugal you just don't know what you're going to get.
You do not want Cristiano Ronaldo playing against you in the tournament.
Well, there's a lot of German players you don't want playing against you either, in fairness. But we'll get onto it. But yeah, France and Portugal drew 2-2 that night, meaning Germany would play England in the knockout round of a tournament for the first time since 2010.
Can I take back what I said? I am actually scared.
Yeah, I should think so. Yeah,
there was no situation that would have been not scary. Even the Hungary one, as you say, that would have been the least. But I was watching it going, oh yeah, well, you know, even if we get Germany, that'll be fine. Then it's like you get in Germany, it's like,
and as well, you've got the build up. I mean, just the amount of build up that you just watch and consume about it. It would just be everywhere, wouldn't it? Especially so long. It feels like this game is so much later in the tournament. It doesn't feel like the first knockout round at all.
Right. Well, we are getting so close to kickoff. Oh my God.
Close.
It's match day. England versus Germany, Tuesday the 29th of June 2021, 5 p.m. kickoff at Wembley Stadium, Euro 2020 / happened in 2021, round of 16. Come on.
Yeah, it came, didn't it? Like you say, 5 p.m. kickoff. I remember being in the pub for 4 p.m. And remember everyone wanting to see what Gary Lineker was going to say in the opening BBC coverage. Did you catch any of this when it was happening?
I watched the game at the distillery and there was no sound.
Oh, really?
I think I was in the pub at 3 p.m.
Oh, there you go.
And I got there and I was like, 2 hours of build-up with no sound. I'm going to have to do some serious drinking.
This is some real phone time for me.
I remember my boss, who's not into football, we were doing a project for a client, a video, and he was like messaging this guy who we were going to film with, and he was going, calendar's a bit full next week. I can do Tuesday at about 5 o'clock. And Clive was like, my boss was just like, I could see him typing, oh, that'll be fine. And when I was like, no, I was like, honestly, I do not care. Like, I went to watch the game with my colleague, and he would have been taking the video. I would have been asking the questions and what have you. And I was like, you're not making us be the only 2 people in the country to not watch this game. We've already bought the tickets to go and watch it together. And he's like, well, I don't know about football, do I? That's just a time.
This is a slot.
And I was like, ask him to do another time.
For people like that, you should just be like allocated. Like, right, for you that don't know about this is this is the tournament. This is what I'm doing. I'm taking my time here right now. So mark that out.
Are you advocating the use of those wall charts? You know, there's always a joke, isn't there? Hey up, lads, print off this wall chart for your missus when the Euros have started.
Oh, those disgusting pages of like, during the games, there will be no speaking. Just those horrible people. When I say quiet, it's quiet in the house, and replays count. Those disgusting slobs.
My missus is a teacher. I think she was, I think they were all watching it as well. Yeah. Anyway, it's all coming back to me now.
But Gary Lineker's opening salvo was. I remember being on Twitter and people going, "Oh, what's he going to say?" And he opened with, "Still working from home, then. Thanks for joining us for England versus Germany. Cue the montage."
Oh,
I mean, that's just perfect, isn't it?
it's a bit meta as well.
Well, yeah, it's very meta because this was a take on Des Lynam's famous line before England v Tunisia in the '98 World Cup, where he opened with a peery eye stare into the camera. Shouldn't you be at work? And it was like a noon 2 p.m. kickoff.
Dishy Des.
I know. I love that. I remember watching that game at school, I think, as well. I must have been.
I think we've spoken about that game.
Maybe, yeah. But I love that.
It was the one where my dad upset me by telling me about Paul Scholes, and I was like, who scored the goals? Listeners, if you want to hear that story in full, it's on the England v Scotland 99 Euro playoffs episode.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, there you are.
Yeah. What were your sort of general feelings and memories then we spoke about? I mean, you were in the pub, I was in the pub. Confident? What were you thinking?
Well, just looking at like the general feelings around this time and in the country as well was just booking fucking tables.
Yeah.
That is all. That is what took my every single waking hour, it seemed, because back then, for the people who, everyone's going to remember this, but if you didn't go out to the pubs to watch the games, you had to book maximum of 6 people, inside or out, and you had to go and book, and you had to be there for your time, and you had to plan ahead actually as well. I can't remember if it was for this game or not, but I remember having to book a load in advance and being like, I don't want to do that because I'm going to jinx it.
Yeah, of course, yeah. I remember, what game was it? It was one, I think it might have been the Ukraine game, and I was like, I ended up going where I wanted to go, which was the village in Moseley, and it was amazing. But there was, I'd booked like a table at like an Indian restaurant.
Oh yeah, I know what you're on about. I think I helped you out with a couple of bookings. I was like, oh, do you want this? And you didn't respond quick enough.
I'd forgotten about that. Mate,
I'm so glad. Well, I think we still have to book stuff when the Qatar World Cup comes around, because it's going to be in the sun. It's going to be in winter, isn't it? So you're going to have to be inside, and you can't just roll into a pub these days without a booking for a tournament. But that, especially with like maximum of 6 people. I remember just being so stressed. I remember for one of the games, 7 people turned up. Like someone turned up that I wasn't expecting. I was like, what are you doing here? Like one of my good friends, and I was almost kind of like, look, you're going to have to go home if they say. Like
a plague carrier.
Yeah, like you're not supposed to be here.
Yeah.
But,
Well, we know what type of person you are then.
Oh, it was 6 people. Like, it's not my duty to be like, well, I don't want to say you can't come, but if they're like, I'm staying here, I made the booking.
Yeah. No, I agree with you, mate. And there's no better person for that job than you.
Yeah.
So that was the general feel. God, I was asking if you were confident for the game, but yeah. I bet you already I bet we were both already thinking, oh God, if they get me, we have to book another bloody table.
Yeah, I think it was that, and confident for the game. I kind of went into this game thinking it was a 50-50 personally.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah, I mean,
by England standards.
Yeah, you'd take that. I mean, going into this game, you'd absolutely take it. I mean, history is just so weighs you down. Even when Lincoln says play a montage and you watch the montage, it is steeped with history. I mean, like
almost like a bloody wrestling promo.
Yeah,
like you couldn't write the backstory any better, could you?
And I think as well, you said it's taken us a little bit of time to get to Germany, but once now we've kind of started, every now and then we would just put Germany in there because there is such a big rivalry, and I know it's more from England looking at Germany going, that's kind of the nation we want to try and be in a football terms and be so successful, and Germany have more of a rivalry with the Netherlands than England, but actually there is such a big thing there, and maybe some of it's one-sided and Germany have got bigger fish to fry, but in reality it's so many games you could pick out over the years that are so interesting between these two teams.
Yeah, let's have a look at the lineup.
Yeah.
Do you want to go with England?
Yeah. So England played their back 3, but in goal you had Jordan Pickford, and then in that back 3 you had Kyle Walker, John Stones and Harry Maguire. Across the midfield, Kieran Trippier, Declan Rice, Calvin Phillips and Luke Shaw. And then in the forward line, it's Bukayo Saka, Harry Kane, the captain, and Raheem Sterling. And then on the bench, you had Aaron Ramsdale, Sam Johnston, Mings, Cody, James, Henderson, Bellingham, Mount, Foden, Rashford, Sancho, and Jackie G. Grealish.
Not starting?
Not starting, yeah. Dropped.
I imagine I would have been pretty gutted.
Yeah.
There's so much I want to say.
The idea to play Saka, who played well in the Czech Republic game, I think he may have even got man of the match. I mean,
yeah, I think he did.
Slanderous to the public and not being Jack Grealish, but played very well. And do you think Grealish is going to start this? But no, it's Saka that plays instead. Really,
that's probably the big talking point. I feel like the rest of it's kind of set in stone by now. Although Harry Kane, man, it was fever pitch to drop him at this point. I think we can forget how much call there was to drop Harry Kane at this point because he had looked so off the pace.
He had, but you kind of think, well, who's his replacement? I mean, Dominic Calvert-Lewin here doesn't even make the bench.
I always thought Sterling would have been the good replacement.
I don't know. It's a very different role that he's playing for England if he were to play up front than Harry Kane. That person who's going to hold the ball up and actually drop short and actually start being the playmaker. I mean, you look at when we watched that Croatia game and you had Rashford and Sterling either side making those runs and he's picking them out every time. Sterling's not going to do that job, is he?
No, and as you say with Saka, I mean, Christ, like I think he was the big surprise. I think it says so much about Gareth Southgate because Saka was like a backup player. Really, in my mind, it was like, oh, we're gonna be, needing a goal with 10 minutes to go if he comes on, and we're just gonna have about 5 other attackers on. But I tell you what, he must have been training well and listening to instructions well because he didn't have many England caps either going into it.
No, I think he maybe even made his debut in the friendlies. I want to say he'd only got under 10 caps without a doubt going into this game, and then starting against Germany it's described very shortly by Mowbray as the biggest game at Wembley since that one.
Yeah,
and you kind of go bloody hell. That is.
Yeah,
I think that's a bit over the top, but still.
Yeah, I think that the inclusion of Saka is a big symbol of that's his big risk, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, not playing Grealish is a risk in itself, but that's not a tactical risk almost,
You can always bring Grealish on.
Yeah.
But once you start Saka, your only option is to bring him off.
Yeah,
if you know what I mean.
And then that's accepting a mistake if it's going badly.
Yeah, and you've got the other options. I mean, on that bench, it's embarrassing, isn't it? Mount, Foden, Rashford, Sancho, Grealish.
Foden, he's come on so much since this tournament as well.
But as well, he's never quite found that spot for England. He seems to be playing a bit further forward for City. Is he going to play in one of those two forward positions for England?
I think he'll find his spot through moments.
Yeah.
I think he's got one or two in him.
Oh, yeah.
Coming up over the next year or so, I think he'll get to the point where he'll be playing a game and he'll be in one of those positions where he can play and he'll boss a big game and then it'll be like, well, his position is starting. And we'll just make it happen.
Well, he started the tournament as well. Mount and Foden both started the tournament and, had done fine in the games building up. But when you had... I think Foden had a knock, so he didn't play a lot during the tournament. Mount obviously had to self-isolate, so he dropped out, then came back into the team later on. But
so it kind of did open up for Saka too.
I think it opened up for Saka. It cemented Sterling's place, and it kind of cemented how Southgate wanted to play with that back five, with that insurance. Now Harry Maguire was back as well. Play that team.
By this point, Sterling's place was cemented anyway because he'd scored all of our goals.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Probably been England's best player with that as well, and the big goal contributor.
Oh, don't get me started on him. How highly I rate Sterling as an England player. One of our best players of all time, in my opinion.
We may get into it.
Yeah, I think I've already said it in the past. Anyway, Germany.
Yeah.
Captain in goal. The captain's goal.
Yeah.
Manuel Neuer. Mm-hmm. Back three. Antonio Rudiger, Mats Hummels, and Matthias Ginter. Wing backs, Joshua Kimmich and Robin Gosens. Wing backs?
Yeah. I think England tried to match them up formation-wise, didn't they? That was the big thing for this.
With Toni Kroos and Leon Goretzka in midfield, front three of Thomas Muller, Kai Havertz and Timo Werner. On the bench, you got Trapp, Leon, Halstenberg, Volland, Gnabry, Musiala, Sule, Nehos, that's probably not pronounced right, Sane, Gundogan, Chan and Koch.
Oh, good. Koch.
A couple of bad ones. God, this podcast has made me so scared about pronunciation. I can't even pronounce famous German players who play in the Prem. But that is a good-looking team on paper.
Yeah.
I would say there is almost no weakness there. Maybe that Gersons and Ginter, who aren't like household names, but that already played well in the tournament.
Star names all over the pitch, isn't it? I mean, you got the mix of experience of Kroos, Muller, Hummels, and Neuer, and then that new generation we mentioned of Werner, Havertz, Musiala, stolen.
Yeah,
from brave old England by the Germany.
Give him back if you know what's good for you.
I know, yeah.
Look, only one of us is going to win a World Cup in the future, in the next 10 years or so in this man's career. So give him back, let him win his World Cup.
Yeah, someone clip that.
I will say, I know we're looking at Germany's lineup, but their bench is not as strong as England's.
No, in the forward in the forward lines, you're probably saying that. I mean, there's still someone like Sane who's going to come on and make a difference. Musiala, who is rated very highly. You look at Gundogan, who done so well for City, and Gnabry as well.
Who? This is a random question. We know, obviously, we know how the game goes. But if you had to put money on a player, the player who breaks England's hearts, there's always a weird link. They've always kind of maybe had a bit of time in the Prem, or they're just, it's always the star man or somebody, a controversial figure. Or, I mean, who would you say across that squad would be the man to break an English heart?
Well, I look at, Havertz and Werner, who'd both struggled really for Chelsea, and they up and down. And you kind of, going into the game, you're like, it should be bloody just like England. Yeah. For one of these two to step up now after they've been ridiculed all year.
He'd missed, Timo Werner missed open goals and all that stuff. And I really rate him as a player, but he would be the one I would go to.
It's everything up to the goal, isn't it, with Werner? He seems to have everything in his locker. He can do lots of great stuff, but it's still like there's that little something that's missing. And a lot of the time, he's just offside, and he's a bit unlucky at times too. But, I mean, amazing though as well. You look at one of his forward partners, Thomas Muller, incredibly hadn't scored a goal at the European Championships up to this point. I mean, where's that stat come from? I feel like
he's like the World Cup goals king as well, isn't he? I know he's not gone on. I mean, in his first World Cup or 2 World Cups, it was like, well, he's going to break the flipping World Cup scoring record.
He'll break the one that Closer's just broken.
Yeah. And like before he's 30.
Yeah.
I think he's slowed down a little bit since then because the 2010 one he scored a few.
Yeah,
and he's referred to as England's nemesis a few times by the commentators in this game because of that result and that performance.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Germany had flicked a bit around with their team as well. I think they'd had Sane playing almost like right wing back in that Hungary game. I watched some of the highlights back from it, and he's kind of at fault for both the goals, running back and not tracking the play. It's like,
don't play him at right wing back.
Well,
then.
exactly. Yeah. So you think, why are you trying to mess around with this kind of game? And maybe Lowe's kind of uncertain of himself and uncertain of his best team here. If he's chopping and changing quite a lot, they've got through qualifying, for the knockouts, conceding 5 goals and scoring 6. That feels far too chaotic for Germany.
Not much to analyse now before we get into it. Let's talk about the kits.
Yeah.
I've mentioned again previously on this, I love this England kit. It's the home version of the Euro 2020 kit. A bit of a throwback to France '98, but just such a nice piece of work. And I really like the Germany one. They're all in black.
Yeah, they're all in black. I like the Germany one. I think they've had maybe nicer ones. There's a weird kind of like underline, like they've not taken like some of like some strips off it or something. There's like some odd line in there. But it's smart. And I do like this England kit. I think it's become iconic because of the tournament, hasn't it, really?
Yeah. The national anthems, I think, as per usual, England's band players and crowd are all playing in different time signatures. I think to be fair, they all sing it with a good amount. Like it's not like stupid passion. It's like, let's just do it. If we're gonna do it, let's do it professionally. But obviously, there's day to time. I wonder whether there's something to do with the technology that makes it seem like it's out of time to us. But
maybe
if you're in the stadium or they're like in time.
It never seems to be any of the teams we cover, though, does it? I mean, we look at the German national anthem. It seems like they're all singing in sync, doesn't it? It's just, and everyone's too excited in the ground. They're just trying to sing it as quickly as they can. And straight after the England anthem, actually, there's quite a few England players seem very up for it. Like they've kept that under the service for the anthems. And it's like Rice and Maguire are kind of like really clapping hard and shouting at the players, just making them switch on and be in with it. But it was not the best one from England, but it's there at least.
Bit of booing for Germany's anthem.
Yeah, I don't like it really. It's not like the most egregious thing that's ever happened in the world. I mean, there's booing in other parts we've discussed that are probably worse. And
not the most egregious crowd reaction of this podcast.
No, definitely not.
I think just don't do that.
Yeah, people should be better than that, really.
Yeah. Right then, let's get a bit of pre-match build-up.
No, we keep hearing about these youngsters that they don't fear anything. Well, now's your time, guys. Now's the time to go and show this 40,000. Now's the time to go and show millions watching at home. Give us something to shout about again.
Yeah, I'm not going to ask all 3 of you who's going to win because there's only one thing you're going to say. So it's England versus Germany for a place in the quarterfinals, and we're live on BBC One and BBC iPlayer. Let's join our commentators, Jermaine Genus and Guy Mowbray.
Thank you, Gary. Hello, everyone.
you're as comfortable as you can be, in position, and ready for England v Germany, next generation. There's never been a build-up to a last 16 tie like this before. It's not the final, not even close yet.
Straight from the studio, Alan Shearer is absolutely pumped.
He's acting like he's Churchill. We keep hearing about these youngsters who don't fear anything. Now is their time to show us.
What I love about these tournaments when it gets to this stage is it's just a leveler. Like, all these pundits, they don't even pretend to be professional anymore. They just become one of us. Like, you know, you'll get, normally they'll go, oh, well, yeah, I think, you know, obviously Calvin Phillips has had a nice performance in the middle of the pitch. And if you watch here, look, he's just simply keeping possession. This was a nice assist that he got. But if it's just a tournament like this, they go, can you look at how good Calvin Phillips is? Oh, my God, I'm so excited. I just can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait.
Can't wait to see him on that pitch.
Oh, he's a legend. I wish he was my son.
People do just make mad claims, don't they, around this point? And yeah, I agree. I'd like seeing the pundits with a bit of passion, but I think some of them maybe go a bit too much. This is us. I think. I mean, unfortunately, you've got to hear Jermaine Genius at some point tonight, which I'm not a fan at all. But his chat's just all rubbish and just not with it at all. And he takes it far too personally, really.
Well, like the tournament itself, we've taken our sweet time to get to it, but we are here. Let's have a little bit of a kick-off sound.
Away we go, the 300th England game played at Wembley Stadium. The biggest since that one, 25 years ago. A place full of hope on either side, true belief. That may rise and fall as the game goes on.
Oh, we're ready, aren't we? I mean, Guy Mowbray did say a little earlier, he said, it's not the final, not even close, but it feels that way.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
Like I say, it feels a lot later than the first knockout round. In reality, the losing team here goes home only playing 4 games.
Yeah.
That just seems like so undeserving for both teams, really.
Oh, well, Germany start a little bit better.
Yeah, I think they do, definitely.
There's a bit of a quite an early issue where Declan Rice gets a yellow card.
Yeah, so Germany find a little bit of a pocket of space, pick a pass and run at England. You know, first care comes when Pickford clears it up the pitch and Germany bring it back. There's a brilliant 1-2 between Goretzka and Muller, and Rice has to bring Goretzka down on the edge of the area, and he's booked just 7 minutes in.
Yeah.
Straight away, you're like, oh, God, I can feel it already.
Our man in the middle, like, who's got to be the tackling engine and what have you, and got to be the one who has those risky challenges, has taken one early, and he had to make it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because something happens there where everyone's not quite set yet. I don't know if it's Stones, Maguire, and Walker. They're not really sure what they should be doing. Mm-hmm. But then Rice is the last person there. Is like, I've got to bring him down here, and it's nowhere near the penalty area really in terms of could concede a penalty.
Yeah.
But it's still worryingly like this is far too close
for a free kick.
Yeah, for a free kick,
quite a dangerous free kick. Yeah, and you get a bit of what's it called, the draft excluder. Calvin Phillips lying on the floor. The commentating team, Guy Mowbray and Jermaine Genius, had a little laugh about that. I feel like it's just so normal now.
Yeah. Even though I don't really know why people do it, there must have been like some sort of weird memo that went around all the sides, and it was like, right, people have started doing this. There's a theory that this is going to happen more now, because you see it pretty much every game, don't you? But it's
like a trend.
I can only think of like one time of a notable goal that went in under the wall. I think Ronaldinho scored one once, and it's like, well, you just have to kind of chalk that up to, well, he's Ronaldinho. But it's like you look at some players, you go, really? Is this needed?
Don't talk about cheeky Ronaldinho one-off free kicks. Not now.
We've got a game to cover.
Yeah.
I mean, Guy Mowbray says, we haven't seen a direct free kick scored at this tournament. And then Jermaine Genius goes, well, why would you say that? So I know what you mean. He's like very much like one of us, because I would have gone, well, why have you said that?
Yeah,
The thing is, I'm not on national television, so I wouldn't really be saying that. But Genius also later on seems really annoyed that Mowbray mentions that the keeper who saved Southgate's penalty is on the Germany coaching staff.
God, he's a superstitious man.
I know, yeah. England do block it though, and weird indirect free kick just gets smashed into about 5 England players, it seems, and the ball just ricochets away. And
did you feel nervous when you're watching this?
Yes, very nervous.
Weird, isn't it?
Yeah, knowing the outcome, even so, you kind of watch it and go, oh, it kind of brings back all these memories. It's like watching like a TV show that you're you've watched a million times, but there's still something quite creepy or scary about like a horror film almost.
I mean, it brought out a lot of emotion in me. I mean, I watched it quite late last night, but I was way later than my usual bedtime, actually. The things I do for this podcast, people. But I swear there was a moment about 25 minutes in and it was just a harmless break. Saka starts to run and I was nearly crying. I was just like, it's so beautiful. I remember it. I remember being like, go on.
Come on, do it, my son. my boy.
Son. Yeah. On midfield, so you got Declan Rice on a yellow and Calvin Phillips not really able to impose himself on the game like he did against Croatia, where I think he was man of the match in the opening game of the tournament. It's not the best start from England in the first 15 minutes.
No, they seem a bit muddled, really. Rice and Phillips don't really seem to know when they should press, when they should sit off, and it kind of means that the back three is really exposed. And Germany do pick that up a couple of times, and we tick into 15 minutes, and England, I think, just finally catch their breath a little bit, really.
Yeah, Calvin Phillips, though, just in case we may not get to, I don't want him to pass us by.
Yeah,
because he was a huge part of England's tournament. Weird, isn't he? Because he was nowhere to be seen in 2018, obviously, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
I don't think he started playing regularly for Leeds then, or maybe he had.
Maybe, but they were still in the Championship at that point, weren't they? So
I think I mentioned in the Croatia podcast that we did that he made his debut for England after when Euro 2020 should have actually been.
I think Foden may have as well, actually. So you got those players who were just nowhere near the side. But I remember when Phillips started playing for England, and he started a couple of, if they were friendlies or relatively, what's counted as a big game. And you were a bit like, Phillips is playing? Why is he playing Phillips? Like, this just seems a bit over the top. But
he'd made himself completely indispensable by this point.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Pretty much as soon as that first game finished, I was like, I don't know what I'm talking about. Which is one of those things where it's like, absolutely starter has to be if he's fit for England now. And he complements Rice really well. They both know when to sit and go, unlike the first 5 minutes here. But they, in general...
I'd still be surprised if he starts at the World Cup, though.
Maybe. I don't know if Bellingham's kind of got the minutes for England yet. You kind of think Rice and Phillips is a bit more settled.
I might have to stop myself and keep looking ahead. I mean, about 40 times in this podcast so far, I've just looked. Oh, it's so exciting. So yeah, we're about 15 minutes in. It's been equal, but mainly Germany equal. If that makes sense.
Yeah, a bit more. I mean, speaking of exciting, Sterling has England's first shot in anger, and it comes from a distance on the left. Neuer gets it away, and the camera cuts to the crowd, and already there are people screaming their head off at the top of their voice, all bright red. And you think, how can this last? We're like 15 minutes in. This is a long game for people like watching at home.
A good shot from Sterling, actually, to be fair.
Yeah, it was. And you start looking back into the rest of the team, and you see actually England start to play well. And every time I watch Kyle Walker, I'm just so impressed with him. I really am.
He's truly like he's incredible.
Yeah.
He's so reliable, so talented, and that's before even mentioning his pace.
Yeah, I mean, he's playing as a sweeper in this game. He's the third centre-back. He's an extra right wing-back when England need him. He's just everywhere. And until watching him a couple of years ago, I'd probably not appreciated what a good player he was, especially for England, because I think under Hodgson, he kind of breaks into the team and he's not really used well. England play the back four and he goes forward and he's absolutely fine.
It's a genius stroke from Southgate to have used him in that role.
I remember in the build-up to the World Cup and just thinking, why is he playing him at right back? He's not played. At centre-back. Why he's not played there in ages? And he's just been an absolute revelation. It's like cheating when he's on the pitch. It's like having 12 players out there, and he's also the quickest, and he's also the most reliable. Like, I can think of very few occasions he's not shone for England in games. And I think once you see it, and once you see that he cheats in how he plays, you can't really unsee it, and you really just appreciate him a bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a good amount of little battles going on. So England aren't, they're not going to get turned over by Germany, or at least doesn't look like that way. Yeah, you've got Saka, started to have a bit of influence on the game, drawing fouls. Trippier's keeping his end tight. Calvin Phillips stamping down in the midfield. There's a bit of a to do with Muller and Maguire. Thomas Muller and Harry Maguire, and it's played very competitively, isn't it? This game, it's professional, but there's no love lost. But Germany have not come here to lose to England at Wembley. They will do whatever it takes to make sure that doesn't happen. But for once, England look like they're aware of that, and it doesn't intimidate them.
They're not going to be bullied, and they're not going to actually let the other team like I think you said it, there's a line of you're not going to let football happen to you.
Yeah.
You're not going to let all this happen. I mean, Maguire and Muller, everything they do in an event, you might as well just had a camera on them for this part of the game because everything they do, like Muller's pushing Maguire in the back, Maguire's going down like a little easy just to win a free kick with his arms in the air, and he does it. They're winning headers, they're fighting with each other. It's just so impressive to see England players stand up to someone as great as Thomas Muller as well.
And also, England have a lot of pace. Like they're able to chase down these lost courses because Sterling and Saka arguably have greater pace than Germany's, fullbacks. I mean, I don't think it's arguably, but they know that they have to do a job in midfield as well. They're not just like luxury creative players.
No, and they work hard. I think that's why Saka's in there because, like you say, he follows instructions well, doesn't he? And same with Sterling as well. And everyone in this England team knows their role. They know what their job is.
Even players like Rice and Declan Rice and Luke Shaw. I mean, they're not slow.
No, not at all.
But we've seen slow England teams on this, and football does happen to them.
And even when you've got someone like Maguire who is slow, you've got someone next to him in Walker who makes up for that. Like he pretty much plays like as a right-sided centre half of the three, but he's almost kind of like a sweeper as well. So he's pretty much just the furthest player back at all times. And England do start to create something at this point. They get a few set-piece opportunities, and the delivery from Trippier and Shaw is always on the money.
Yeah, 26 minutes in. It's what I would say is a really big chance for England. Calvin Phillips plays I watched this pass from Calvin Phillips through to Trippier, and I went, ooh.
Lovely old job.
Yeah, it will. Oh, and then Trippier again with the spot-on delivery. And, the ball's in the box, and you got Sterling, Maguire and Kane and all there. And Maguire's, it's going to Maguire in his head, and it just doesn't really connect with it well.
No.
It's kind of a bad miss for me, I think.
I think so, yeah. I think Maguire should really score more goals for how good he is in his own area, kind of dealing with the ball. And then, he just seems to desert him. There's certain players that as soon as he gets into the other area, it's just like, well, I've got no idea what I'm doing here. He just kind of bounces off their head in a really, really odd way. But
he'll score the odd one.
But it's never too. He should get more for the chances he gets, actually, and how he does make himself free in the area.
Yeah, his face after that miss has become a bit of a meme since.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw it yesterday, I was like, oh, God. It's not a flattering face.
No. I mean, the crowd are ravenous at this point. There's a feeling of this being England's good spell in the game, and they can't let it pass without getting something out of it. And because they're playing Germany, serial winners, they know that there's a chance going to be coming for Germany at some point. So they've got to use this.
Absolutely. Just after the half an hour, though, and Germany have a golden chance.
Yeah. Just as England start coming into it, Germany give them something to remind them who they are. Kimmich is across to the far post, which is missed by Gerdens, but the big chance comes when for Germany when it comes to Werner. Germany retrieve the ball and Havertz runs into the space between Rice and Phillips, threads a pass into Werner, and Pickford rushes out to smother it. Real squeaky bum time, that wasn't it?
Yeah, let's have a listen.
Much talked about in the build-up as one to be feared. That's a good ball from Havertz. Werner, that's a good save by Pickford. Out to meet Timo Werner.
But his chance of the game, this. Kai Havertz, it's brilliant. A lot of time, a lot of space. You can't give him that because that's what he delivers right on the money. The run from Timo Werner was good, but the save from Pickford was better.
Yeah, but I will just say, the first chance, the Gerstens one it felt like a really, it felt like a let-off, man. Like, I don't know how he didn't, it looked almost like he was dragged down, but what I think it was is that he was kind of boxed in by Walker and Trippier.
Yeah. I think they both seen that he's probably got a bit of a run on them, or he's just appeared and they've just used their body in the right way.
But I tell you what, that's a second chance. Jordan Pickford, what an amazing goalkeeper for England. Like, he does so well, and it's his confidence, isn't it? It's that not letting football happen to him. I have to make this save.
Yeah,
I've not come this far in my career to be another one of these England keepers, and you wouldn't have blamed him if that wouldn't have gone in. It was a flipping difficult save to make, and he makes it so powerfully and confidently as well.
He runs out with his legs, doesn't he? He boxes with his legs, and you think maybe if he doesn't put his legs in those position, that goes in, and you kind of can't blame him for that because he's running out to try and address it, And having a really proactive keeper like that can really help. And I don't think he's ever put a foot wrong for England in person. I know he's one of your favourite England players, and I can't really fault for that either. He's so important to the way England play, and a character as well. Even when he makes a save or someone makes a big tackle, he's the first one there, kind of geeing everybody up.
Yeah, you got Harry Kane now as well.
Yeah,
absolutely gone by without a mention.
I know, yeah. He does start to come into the game a bit more, and he does start dropping a little bit deeper, like we mentioned earlier, like he does in the more in the World Cup post of that. He's not really been involved so far, and playing a bit deeper, looking for those inside runs. He come off really his best season ever. He'd finished Premier League top scorer and top assist provider, and
I don't feel like that's ever happened.
No, it mustn't have happened.
No, such a unique thing to get, and also he's come off Golden Boot at the World Cup.
Yeah, not too far away as well. Where you kind of go performance, like he'd been good in the moments, but in reality, after a while, he'd started struggling. I think because he plays
a lot of penalties, wasn't he?
There's a lot of penalties, and it's so much like football he plays for Tottenham.
Yeah,
and you just think, it's just not right. But he'd come off the back of that amazing season. It was straight after Mourinho had kind of like put Spurs into decline as well, but he and Son had been the two real shining stars for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he'd got enough in the bank to withstand this. And there were calls for him to be dropped. I don't know how loud they were in hindsight, but I feel like I was probably one of them.
I just don't think you can ever drop someone like Harry Kane. It's not like the Shearer stuff when it's like, well, he's clearly passed it at international level and needs to not play as many games so he can prolong his club career. But you look at Harry Kane, he's such an important player and he's such a leader. And I think it's kind of underplayed really about what an all-time great he's going to be for England. He's not, he's going to break the scoring record clearly at some point soon as well. And
he'll do it this year.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be probably in the Nations League, or if he doesn't, then something's gone seriously wrong. Somewhere for England, hasn't it?
Yeah, about 36 minutes in, there was a moment that I found quite interesting. Kyle Walker's got the ball on the right flank, just outside Germany's box. Kind of hesitates to cross it or pass it. There's a bit of grumbling from the crowd, and Mowbray says the crowd are demanding more attacking urgency, and straight away, England have kept the ball and an exceptional pass from Phillips. He doesn't come to much, but I'd just forgotten how good he was at this tournament because he was slightly more free and attacking than he is at Leeds, where he's been used as a defensive shield, and a good one at that. But Christ, he can pick a pass.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Was he called the Yorkshire Pirlo, isn't he? I think by Leeds fans. And I think he's brilliant in this game, and he's
he's certainly recovered from that first 15 minutes or so when he was a bit shaky. Somebody who didn't have a shaky first 15 minutes at all is Kyle Walker, who again steps up. It's kind of like an attack where Germany, it keeps bobbling forwards for them, a tackle and then what have you, and then England make the tackle, but it ends up going to a Germany player, and you think, oh shit, Kai Havertz is actually through here. No, there's Kyle Walker. I didn't even see him on my screen. Just picks it up. It looked like a free run at goal.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'll have that. Thank you very much.
Well, I'll tell you who did come on our screen is Sir David Beckham.
Yes.
Get to see David Beckham looking like the coolest uncle on planet Earth. And,
I know,
And he's next to Ed Sheeran. I mean,
instantly not as cool.
I know, yeah. Showing that money, no matter how much you make and how you make it, can buy you everything. Clearly, you get sat next to David Beckham. At an England game.
England versus Germany at Wembley.
Yeah, I mean, what have you got to do that? How much was that? I'll pay it.
I'll do it. Yeah. Let's get a Patreon.
I know, yeah. It kind of follows that. We've sung Phillips' praise, but there's a rough challenge by him that goes in. He goes kind of over the ball and rolls onto the ankle of Cruz, and a yellow card's given, and you're kind of happy he's only given a yellow.
Thank you, referee.
Yeah, it's kind of an orange card, isn't it? It's one where you're like, okay, hands up, take that yellow. But on another day, you maybe go for referees being a lot more arsey.
These are the things that you forget as well. Like we haven't given a massive spoiler yet, but I'm just presuming everybody knows the result of this game. But like, you forget the turmoil of going, that's just before half time, and both our centre mids are on yellow cards now.
Yeah,
and you know what? We're not in the lead, and we haven't made amazing chances either. So
no, they haven't made like amazing chances yet. But England will be happy so far. We're just getting into injury time now. It's just they'll be happy so far.
Just 1 minute added on to the end of the first half. Tension-filled first 45 plus. Last chance, Timo Werner, denied by Jordan Pickford. As for England, Raheem Sterling and Harry Maguire. Here is Sterling. Sterling tries to get into the box himself, and here's Kane! Taken away from him by Hummels. The goal looked on a plate served warm. Werner. Kroos. Pausing their break for half-time refreshments to turn and process what they've just seen. A huge opportunity goes for England and their captain, Sterling, with the driving run. As he crashed to the floor, there were appeals and shouts and hopeful pleas. But the ball broke to Kane off a German defender.
Oh, we could be so much more happier, though.
What a chance. I
know.
mean, Christ. Yeah, let's get this out of the way. So Germany play the ball wide right, and Muller seems surprised that Luke Shaw's closing him down so quickly. Tries a quick pass backwards, straight to Raheem Sterling. Sterling runs at what seems like the entire Germany team. And there's a collision between three bodies, and the ball ricochets to Kane, who takes a touch with his left foot, and it just bounces across the face of the goal, and Hummels cleans it up.
It's great bit of defending from Hummels.
Yeah, to get in there, but Kane should not be giving him that opportunity. And the touch he tries to take a touch with his left foot. He's in the 6-yard box pretty much, and you think he's trying to control it.
Just lever that so hard.
And as he's coming down, you think that's when he wants to hit it with his right foot. The problem is his touch is across the goal, and it just kind of sums up his half, really, where he's just not been involved when he's had to be involved, and he's really needed him in that moment. He's kind of let England down at that point.
I like the commentary line, the goal looked on a plate served warm.
I know.
It seems a bit calm for what it was, which is absolutely massive moment.
What, you wanted him just going, oh, for fuck's sake.
Nah, it's not warm, though. It's served really hot. It's piping hot.
I know. It made me feel a bit disgusting hearing that. Oh, served on a plate warm. So I'm not now. I'm not hungry. I'm too stressed here.
Can you imagine eating at this time?
No, I don't want any food in the pub. I'll have it later, okay? I'm watching this, but...
well, it's half time, so maybe actually bring over some chips.
I mean, yes, just one plate, fine. We can do that.
Half time?
Yeah.
Incredible half, really. I'd say it's quite notable that England are very much competitive against an elite side in a major tournament. You know, you look back to the Brazil 2002 game, and it's kind of similar.
It's similar, but I think England have been more impressive in this game.
It feels like they're still in this game by luck. Not by luck, sorry. The Brazil game, even though we took the lead and then conceded in injury time, it felt like we were probably still there by luck.
Yeah, and it was kind of more the idea that actually England they found themselves in front by accident, and they've done well to keep it at that. But you know, in these situations here, England have got themselves out of any trouble that has appeared.
Yeah, I mean, in the words of Adrian Charles, calm down. Just all calm down a bit.
Thank God we didn't have to hear him on this.
Let's not wait any longer, man. Come on. Second half, man.
Yeah, we're into it now. We've all calmed down. We've all got rounded up again.
Yeah,
we're all ready. I mean, Mowbray doesn't start well, but he asks Genius what he thinks. So immediately that's like, well, why,
not advisable.
Why have you done this? I mean, he suggests that you should take Luke Shaw off and put Saka, probably England's best attacking player of the half, at left wing back.
We didn't mention him.
We didn't mention him.
I do agree with you.
But I think he plays really well. I'd forgotten actually how good he was. I thought he was just more of a bit of a workhorse in this game, but he's actually scared Germany quite a few times.
It's the carrying of the ball, isn't it? It's getting a ball in a dangerous position for Germany and then making it in about 4 seconds a dangerous position for England.
I thought he was really, really good. And with that as well, with this kind of like tactical talk and whatever people say, more than ever, it's all talk about, well, what would you do or what should England do at this point? I just find it so tiresome. Where people like,
the game's about opinions, mate.
It is about opinions, but at the end of the day, just because you've got an opinion doesn't mean that you're right. And how many times have you been somewhere and at half time it's like, I'd bring him off, or you think, you know, well, what if that doesn't work then? Because
I'm guilty of that myself, though.
We are, and it's fine to have opinions, but it's just when you carry them so much and you just make them, this is who I am, kind of about, especially about something like football as well. It's just like, well, I've never liked him. And you bring your own baggage with these kind of opinions too, don't you?
Yeah, I think we're all just kind of chucking stuff at the wall, and if something sticks, we'll all act like we were a genius. You go, oh, I said he should have brought on so and so, took so and so for that game. Whereas, really, no one's going to pull you up on not getting it right, which puts me in mind of Graham Taylor.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely spot on, isn't it?
Listeners may remember from the Impossible Job episodes. I think the line was something like, the difference between my side and your sides, speaking to journalists, is my sides actually have to go out there and play. Meaning, like, I think you explained it as you can say whatever you want and put whatever you want down on paper, but it has no, there's no responsibility there, is there?
I think he even may say something like, my team has a responsibility and it has to play. I think that's absolutely spot on as well, because you look at someone like Gareth Southgate, is it because he just seems like a normal bloke? So us normal blokes think that we know better than him and we have these opinions, but in reality, he knows that group of players better than anybody. He knows when to play them, when not to play them, when to rest them, when to bring them off as well, and thinks, well, actually, they've probably done that job there, and he went to like another phase of play maybe at that point.
Yeah, maybe though, people think he knows these players well, but does he know how to win big games well?
I think that's the point where we are now with Southgate, where you now look at that forward line we've got and you think, this is when now England, if they're ever going to do something with this team, and they are still quite a young team in certain parts and other players will emerge, but now is the point of just that little bit over the line. But
Let's get back to the action.
We get back to the action, Pickford makes a really good save early on from Havertz. It's a rasping shot that he does really well to tip over.
Yeah, of course he does. It's Jordan Pickford, mate. Come on.
Yeah, he does really well to tip it over. It comes in like a million miles an hour. And Havertz is such a strange player, isn't he? You know, at times he looks like some useless ASOS model. And then at others, he's just got like, wow, that touch was incredible. And then, but God, he misses some chances as well. In my FPL draft league for a few years now, we've all kind of like banded Havertz around. I think he was one of my first picks.
Right. And
when you kind of pick him, you take him out of the league for everybody else, so no one else can use him. And I just stuck with him for like a lot of last season. And as soon as someone picked him this year, I was so happy because I was like, right, I haven't got to invest my care into that person anymore.
I think he's going to come good, man. I think.
Well, he's a £75 million player, and Thomas Tuchel's not an idiot. So he keeps picking him, and he does get goals, but there's just something about him where maybe he's not quite ready yet, and he's gone for too much money so soon.
It's hard. It's hard. Like the days of players. I mean, maybe that Luis Diaz at Liverpool will prove me wrong, but I think the days of players just coming over from a different league and instantly smashing it in the Prem are pretty much gone. I mean, especially younger players, man.
It's very hard, isn't it, when you have such a gamble when you bring a player in from Portugal or somewhere like that, or the Netherlands. And there's a big thing in the minute about, well, do you play them because we've had not as many successes with other ones? But then you look at someone like Diaz who's just come in and ripped it up, and you just think, well, he's adapted. Why have you not? He's done it. It's like, well, they're all got different roles to play, and maybe because you're coming in
different scenarios and circumstances, sure. But I think Havertz will have his time, and I think he'll come. I think he'll be at Chelsea for a long time, unless circumstances mean they have to sell all the players.
Well, amusingly we see a Rob Beckett in the crowd at the in the crowd here, and ahead of him stealing this podcast idea with another comedian to come in the summer. And,
that's right. I could not agree with that. I could not agree with you more on that, Rob Beckett. If you're listening, if I see that podcast on the Apple Store or on Acast, you are a thief.
Yeah, and you are in breach of copyright.
You are in nothing more than a common low-life thief stealing people's podcasts and doing them with your mates.
Yeah, probably better and funnier. I get that, but we were here first.
Man, I've already got an audience. Man, people want to listen to me what I say. You are just nobody's. It's our idea, mate. It's copyright.
Yeah, bet they don't do their own notes.
Bet you don't do your own notes.
Yeah, 15 fucking pages I've got here, mate. You going to do that?
You think I'm sharing links with you, Beckett? You've got another thing coming. He'll definitely do it as well. It's going to be so horrible because he will definitely do it and nobody's going to believe us.
Yeah.
I mean, there's proof.
We've got audio proof here right now.
Nobody's going to be like, well, I don't care about Rob Beckett. I like his podcast. I don't care about him nicking it from you. It's obviously going to be better than you. Well, screw you.
That's what we say anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, injury problems for England.
Yeah.
Back to the positive stuff. Harry Kane goes down holding his knee and child feeder. Himself and Marcus Rashford is warming up on the bench. Kane's back on pretty quickly, really, but no Calvert-Lewin on the bench, not even the option to bring him on. I remember finding that really weird. I remember that about an hour before kickoff getting leaked to the press as well.
Yeah.
I remember David Ornstein reported on it and being like, did Calvert-Lewin leak that?
That's weird. The thought of Marcus Rashford replacing Harry Kane in this game makes me want to throw up. He is not.
I mean, that's a player who's fallen from grace who surely is not in that World Cup next time, is it?
Again, remember that Croatia game that we watched? He was fantastic in that, wasn't he? But yes, I agree with you there. We're about an hour in now. Guys. It's still 0-0.
It's still tense, though. This is so tense. And we get to the point now where it's the nerviness of England dropping off in second half games, and it's in my stomach now. It's just like, oh, it's happening, isn't it?
Yeah, we've had our moments. Harry Kane had that chance. We could have been 1-0 up. But yeah, are we going to be dropping off, It's, like you say, you can feel it in your stomach. There's so much history there of it. You think of Sven. First half good, second half not so good. Well, we've had the first half, so what's going to happen now?
Yeah, and not only have you got that, and you're trying to play the game, but you're also playing history at this point as well. It's mentioned in the commentary that Germany have never lost a European Championship knockout stage tie before the semi-finals, and England have never won one in 90 or 120 minutes. I mean, look what we're up against here. This is ridiculous, isn't it?
That's crazy. When you put it like that, I think Southgate's already impressed me in this episode a lot. Very bold, and for better or worse, he's very bold. But I think the fact that he's always encouraged his teams to try and make their own history, he's always saying that, isn't he? Even before the games, he's going, look, that what they have to do is forget about all that, and placing such an emphasis on that, and picking such younger players and sticking with them. Don't get me wrong, not many of them have done anything to be dropped.
No,
it's not like they've given him a reason not to stick with them, but he sticks with them in some people like Sterling, where maybe somebody like a Roy Hodgson or even a Sven would have been
down to the pressure of it.
Yeah. I've got to play Phil Foden, or I've got to play Jack Grealish,
or I've got to play Sancho as well. And it's you've got this big list of players, and he would have bowed to the pressure of Grealish, you think, at this point.
But he treats them like adults, and like he sees them as equals. I think he looks at Raheem Sterling and thinks, I can't do anything I want to do if this guy's not on side.
Yeah,
and I don't want to upset him because I like him. And I don't want to approach it like it's a cutthroat thing. I think he thinks I would rather do it my way, and my way is being friendly and, just
being
stern
human,
again.
Being at points as well.
Absolutely, being human.
I mean, and you look at this as well. What the options are. Germany's shown enough that they could cut through England at any point. Really, that's the danger there. So hence England do keep playing a back five, but you could say maybe it'd be Trippier. He's been solid enough, but maybe he comes out, and then you've got Rice and Phillips both on yellow cards. If you're playing a back four, they've both got to sit back, and that's could be something really bad waiting to happen.
But something good is waiting to happen.
Oh, you're damn right, aren't you? Jack Grealish is coming on.
Goodness me, has he come on a bit since then? And the England change sees Saka replaced by Jack Grealish.
He had a good first 45 minutes. Saka appreciated here by the England fans. Couldn't quite get into the game as much in this second half, but I think England just found it a lot more difficult.
Isn't it this? Here's the poster boy.
Jack Grealish. We'll have to put a bit of that tune in at some point.
Yeah.
But we see him on the screen. He's getting ready to come on. It's not bound down to peer pressure. I think he's probably picked a good time for him to come on. I mean, the game, it's open, man.
Yeah,
it's not all Germany. England can afford to attack a little.
I think so, and it's the right time to bring him on, is what we were saying. He knows when he could bring the players on. England have kept themselves in the game. It could be going either way at this point. If they'd have been too open, maybe they'd have scored against Germany, but they'd have, maybe they'd have conceded as well. So you get to 70 minutes and you think, right, we've got to just keep calm. We've got to just stay in the game for now as well. And you think, well, actually, now's the time for Grealish. And I remember listening to the ramble at the point and hearing Vish say that when he was at the game and he said that when Grealish came on, it was like The Rock had come out at WrestleMania. I remember just loving that line so much because it was ridiculous in the pub I was in, and it seemed ridiculous in the stadium as well.
Can I just ask though, is it actually ridiculous? I think it's a little bit ridiculous. Why? I think it has to be down to his image.
Yeah.
And like, I know his football skills are great, and especially at this time.
Yeah.
But you want him to be the man, don't you, to score the goal for England because he's cool and he's like one of the lads.
Yeah, especially at this point for Villa, playing for not a top 6 club, playing for a club he's come through the youth team at as well.
He's like a perfect anti-hero.
Yeah.
And all the women fancy him. Yeah. so it's like...
And he's quite innocent in terms of just like, he seems a bit thick at times when you hear him in interviews. But that's kind of a thing of always I remember friends like sharing like videos of him being interviewed. And it was like, has he really just said that?
But he's not like ashamed of it, is he?
But it doesn't seem like he's got the media training behind him, which pretty much every other England player has of, well, we just want to go out there and do our best for the team and the nation. And even though England have got better at, not being robots, they're just something at this point so unmoldable about him, really, it seems.
Yeah, it's not a slight on him. It's just an absolute hysteria is what it was. And you do look back and it's fun to remember, but Christ, we're all a bit mad.
It seems very strange now, kind of seeing where Jack Grealish is at Manchester City.
I mean, he's not exactly fell off a cliff. He went to Manchester City for 100 million after this tournament. Insane. But he's just another good player now, isn't he?
Yeah. That kind of madness has kind of gone about him, hasn't it? And maybe it'll come back during the World Cup.
I think it will come back during the World Cup. I think Pepe's going to think, this man is going to want to start for England at that World Cup. I'm going to give him a go at the start of the year. Can you imagine him feeding in bloody Haaland?
I know, yeah, it's a bit terrifying. But in all that craziness, Gnabry comes on for Werner, but yeah, we've got Grealish out on the left now, Sterling on the right. It feels like we're entering a brand new phase of the game. It's like a new game started, and Grealish's first few touches, they don't really come to much, and the tension feels like it's never ending, and you think something has got to break it.
Walker. Sterling. He's still perky enough. Kane. Grealish. Shaw. Across for Sterling! There's your spark. Wembley ignites. The summer of Sterling continues.
Come on! Let's go.
Let's go.
Well,
Raheem Sterling.
Yeah.
Raheem Sterling, man. He receives the ball from Kyle Walker, and instead of taking it down the wing, he's just like, I'm going to run at this Germany defence, and he just runs directly through the midfield. I mean, he skips past one, gives it to Kane, and then suddenly Kane does really well in that sort of number 10-ish role, and like England have a serious break with momentum and the ball behind, and the ball ahead of them, outnumbering Germany. Kane finds Grealish. Jack Grealish.
Obviously.
And he passes it just wide to Shaw. And a lovely little touch. It's not exceptional. It's not
he just thumps it across the goal, doesn't he? It's like a punch.
Yeah. If Shaw's cross, like you say, punches it across the goal. and Sterling, it's a tap-in. This is it.
We've heard it before on the podcast, but this is lift-off.
And the scenes, man. Scenes. That is people like... how long of just staying indoors and thinking, all my fucking family might die, I might die, I might lose my job.
Yeah.
I can't even see my friends.
Lost my job, may have lost family.
Yeah, I can't even see my friends. Football is the last thing on my mind. And then slowly, it starts to come back to it. But you're just like, will it ever be the same again? And no, it's fucking It's better.
Yeah.
Like, this is better.
This
This
is
is one of the best England moments ever.
This is one of the best things that's ever happened in terms of like our support in England life, without a doubt. England take the lead 75 minutes into a knockout game against
What a
Germany.
time to get the first goal as well.
I know, and what a time to have kept yourself in it as well, because it would have been back and forth. There'd have been players run ragged, but at the moment, everyone's kind of like kept their heads calm down as well. But like I say, the scenes around Wembley are just wild. And
Yeah, and like in my memory, it was much earlier than this. I was surprised. I was like, Christ, 75 minutes. But it's just, it's so emotional, man.
Yeah.
It's so emotional. And Sterling, his celebration, he's so calm when everyone else around him is going mad. He's clearly happy,
yeah.
but he knows, man.
He kind of just runs over to the touchline as well, doesn't he? He kind of runs over, and I remember watching it back just and being like, is he looking for offside or what? Like, he seems so muted. He almost just kind of runs over. I think he may even pick up like a drink of water or something. Like
He gives the Free Lions badge a little kiss, and I think for somebody who's been so central to the flipping racist division narrative and who's had his loyalty to the country questioned, and they kept saying it throughout the tournament. He's the Wembley boy.
Yeah.
He's playing in basically what was down the road from him when he was a kid, and setting the tournament alight, man.
Yeah. Well, third goal of the tournament, and on the goal, it's like clockwork, and everyone involved does the exact right thing at the right time. And Sterling in the replays, he stops and changes his run to get on the end of the cross, and it's what he does best. He may not always be the best finisher, but his runs, and he makes them just like few other players. And he's like with City, he's always there, ready for that tap in. And that's him bringing it to England now.
I think we've consciously included less of the minutiae of the game this time, because there's so much background and there's so much...
The clock doesn't say so.
I know, but there's so much euphoria and so much background to cover. But he's had a really good game as well. Just what he always does, man. It's what he always does.
Yeah.
Surely nobody can date him now, especially after this moment. People who are listening, don't forget it.
Yeah.
Do not forget it.
Yeah, exactly. And for what he's done for England at this point as well, it's just like that the right man has scored as well at that point, doesn't it? And and it's
imagine if it would have been Grealish. Fucking hell. But he did his bit, man.
Yeah.
Calm, intelligent football. Not trying to be a hero.
Didn't try and do too much either. Just gave it to Shaw. He was in a better position. That's the right ball.
Luke Shaw was in a better position. 2021 Luke Shaw.
Yeah, nailed the delivery as well.
A vintage.
Well, yeah, really, and in kind of the form of his life, Luke Shaw as well. I mean, I know Genius had questioned him, and he'd been fine throughout the game. He just never really got involved or had to get involved. But a real high point for Luke Shaw. But God, straight at the other end, and Germany have got a free kick on the edge of the area. Kimmich controls a great pass out of the air, and Maguire clips his ankles and he's booked. The free kick hits the wall, and the relief around the ground is palpable, really.
Yeah, the crowd dropped. I mean, it's euphoria to deadly silence.
Yeah.
That would have been tragic.
To even bring yourself down from that point, and it's just staggering, really. And this feels like this is like 10 minutes to go, and it's one of those games where it's like the longest 10 minutes you've ever had in your life.
Yeah, but I don't even know what to say.
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say.
Well, at that point, Rice brings the ball forward, and Kane and Sterling both hold it up. They're kind of in two minds of what to do at this point, because we've just scored. Do we go for it again, or do we hold it up and attack again in the same position? And Sterling's from where he picked up the ball for his goal, he's kind of in the same position again and looking maybe to protect the lead. Just nothing stupid here.
Raheem Sterling. There's an error, and Havertz is onto it, and he's got the run through the middle. It is Thomas Muller, England's nemesis, but not this time. That never used to happen, never ever.
Well, Sterling was on his knees. He was praying. And his prayers were answered. He had time on his hands to pick his spot, Thomas Muller. He just drags it wide. Pickford again. Big moment for the England goalkeeper. He's had 2 or 3 today. He asked the question. He come out to the 18-yard box. Look at Sterling's reaction. And here's another for you. As you said, Guy, that's not something we're used to seeing.
That's it.
Oh my God.
You just can't believe it, can you?
I cannot. I cannot. I mean, past me. Can someone please check on past me? I think I've passed away at this point. I mean,
Nick is in the other ether.
what a let off.
I know. It was
staggering.
It was just it's just insane.
Yeah.
The commentary line. The commentator is so shocked.
Yeah.
That never used to happen. Never, ever.
Yes.
He's like, holy shit.
Yeah, something's happened.
That's
here.
more shocking than the goal.
By a mile. I mean, just to run through it, Sterling makes the exact same poor pass as Muller did in the first half. That was to Sterling as well. Sterling's pass straight to Havertz. So Havertz runs to the halfway line, and England's higher defence don't know what to do. Usually, as we've spoken about, Kyle Walker is back there to outpace whoever is in the opposition's furthest forward their first forward player. But Sterling's pass was to him, and while he's supporting the midfield, he's not there. He's in no man's land really there too.
Yeah, and you've got Thomas Muller. He's the man up with Havertz, and it's a great ball from Havertz, man, to play him through.
Yeah, I mean, this means Muller's all on his own, the centre circle, and Stones tries to get there first before Havertz, but it's a perfect ball, and Thomas Muller is galloping towards goal like an evil gazelle. He is just, you are so confident. I mean, Pickford runs out to the penalty spot. Muller takes his chance just outside the area, rolls it into the bottom corner, but it doesn't go in.
No,
it doesn't go in, and it goes wide.
It's a well hit shot as well.
Yeah, it's just that's the exact thing that he should have done.
Yeah.
He's kind of not done anything wrong, but it's not gone in, and it's like the world doesn't believe it.
Yeah,
I mean, watching it back, it's like you've just shown me a brand new color or something. I was just like, what the hell is this?
Yeah. Oh my God. So obviously that would have been so horrible for Sterling, and you see him drop, don't you, to the floor
immediately.
I think there's footage. It wasn't seen on this stream of the game, but I think there's footage of when Muller misses, Trippier going up to Sterling and standing him up and just
Pretty
being
much.
like, come on,
Yeah,
don't worry about it now. It's not a goal. We're back. Just a note worth watching. Kieran Trippier on the True Geordie podcast. He talks a lot about the 2018 World Cup and this tournament. And he just seems like the safest bloke in the world. Yeah. Like, genuinely, like, get him down the pub. And he's just a normal bloke. But tell you what, all game, he's been like...
he's kind of more of a... He's very good as he's been playing, but he's kind of a present and a personality on the pitch
he really
as well,
is.
isn't he?
There was a bit in the first half, I think, when there was a misplaced pass or somebody didn't make the right run and what have you. And then they're like, oh, that was a bit dicey. But you see him... You can hear him clapping above the noise just to go, don't worry, next time, you know, to I think it was Saka.
And to do it over this Wembley crowd who... I mean, speaking about the noise, I mean... The noise when he misses is like nothing else I've ever heard before. I mean, it's like you can hear the Germany fans. It's like a European roar from them celebrating the goal because it's heading in, and then it's just blissful celebration around Wembley, and it's just sheer relief.
My friend who I watched the game, we went to the bathroom. I mean, what the hell is he doing? And I can see him come out. He's like,
"What's happened?"
I thought it was 2-0. So was it still 1-0? Everyone went mental. I was like, mate. How do I even explain what's just happened?
I know.
It's not a goal, but
You know,
that is surely the biggest indicator yet that something is... The matrix is a bit glitchy right now.
I mean, like you say, it actually feels bigger than the goal because
it so is. It would have killed England, man.
Because it changes everything. The whole point of you and I doing this podcast is to discuss, is something England or isn't it? And this is the least England thing we've seen so far. And that man in that position does that against us. Just Christ on a bike. What is that? And you feel spent even just talking about it again now. But
can't believe it, man.
Just cannot say how big a moment that Muller miss is.
Yeah.
There's a game going on.
There's a game going on.
We've still got about 10 minutes to go.
I've got the most underwhelming note next. 82 minutes in, and Kyle Walker is still absolutely on every single loose ball in a flash, and he is. But I tell you what,
it's not wrong.
After that, mate, England are not. They're not letting this shit happen again. They're not letting them have a good chance come through.
And that's kind of it's woken them up a bit, hasn't it?
Yeah. So the game goes on. Rice has grown into it as well. You know. What to say? Sorry. He picks up the ball. He makes a run to block. He's cramped up, and it's a bit of a right? Are England? Is he buying time? Do you think?
The weird position he takes, I think he's off the pitch and he is like, he's just in such a strange position where he's clearly trying to like stand up, but he can't. He's trying to stretch it out as he's standing up as well. And yeah, Germany have got the ball on the far side, and you kind of worry about what's going to happen next if they break from this.
He can't get back to his feet. England press regardless with Shaw. And now Grealish. Grealish in! In comes the captain! This time, more than any other time. 2-0 England. Harry Kane's championship has begun. Germany's might be ending. And that long run might be ending too.
Oh, it's over.
It's done.
It's over. Bye-bye.
Stick a fork in me.
I mean, I'm lost for words at this point. I mean,
Chills.
Yeah.
Watching this back. Oh, and even just talking about it now, I've genuinely have chills.
I mean, joy and smiles all around Wembley as England seal the game late on. Yes. Stunning.
Germany tried to break, but it just ends up with Shaw, and he's just like, okay.
He just motors through them, doesn't he?
Yeah, and then England end up in a position very similar to the first goal, but it's Shaw who makes the pass to Jack Grealish.
Yeah.
And he crosses the ball in, a lovely, perfect cross. Harry Kane does really well to header it in, though. He kind of contorts his body in just the right way. And Harry Kane has got his goal. England are in dreamland because there is not long left in this game. We're talking about like 5 minutes and they're 2-0 up. There's no more anxiety for these last 5 minutes.
That's it. I mean, if the first goal has inflated the anxiety balloon, it's well and truly popped now, hasn't it? Kane's celebration's even really weird. He just runs along and just jumps on his arse. And he's just like...
What do you do in that moment?
Well, exactly. And he's just done something that just feels natural to him, doesn't it? He's just gone, well, it's like he's a child again, doesn't really know what to do. I'm just going to get on the floor as quick as I can. And you even look at the bench and Round and Southgate, to their credit, are trying to calm everybody down. But you look at the background and Chris Powell is jumping around, high-fiving everybody. It's like being totally undermined by what's behind them.
Yeah, just another word for Luke Shaw. I mean, absolutely crucial for both goals and set the tone for the rest of his tournament where he just continued to make those runs all the time for England. A really nice header from Kane, but it's all about the mentality, man.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just all about that thing that you can't you can train, but you can't necessarily. I don't know, it's hard to explain. But
it's hard to like instill that in a long-term basis. And for England to kind of turn it around from where the position they were before the tournament of uncertain players, maybe they're in and out of form, and kind of getting this kind of club mentality. It's very hard to do that on an international scale, and I can't really think of a club mentality like this that we've seen when watching England before.
Never. There's never been anything like it, and that's why potentially exactly why there's never been a position like this that England have found themselves in, because it just doesn't happen, man.
I mean, you also get Mowbray saying this time more than any other time, which is a nod to an old England World Cup song, obviously, but it just feels right. And Jermaine Genius totally validated for bringing off Luke Shaw.
Yeah, lest we forget.
I know. Yeah.
Right.
Here we go. We're kind of in the last stages, aren't we? Rice comes on for Henderson, who Rice has just been brilliant, but Henderson's been waiting to come on for a couple of minutes. We get a couple of changes from Germany, but it doesn't particularly matter. But yeah, for England to dig this deep so early on in a tournament, it must be so draining. And Musiala comes on for Germany, in the real quiz. And Mowbray says that Musiala played for England's under-21s back in September 2020. Just let it go.
Yeah. That is not the story now.
Not in the slightest. I mean, the camera cuts to Jurgen Löw as well. One last time for a quick scratch and sniff from him as well, as is his need. And you actually get like cuts from all around the stadium about of German fans. You're just not used to seeing Germany fans being the ones that are kind of like downtrodden and the face, because they're just such an institution of international football. And we get a very odd moment now. So the camera does cut to a German family, and there's a little girl crying on the TV, and unsure why the producer's gone, go to that, because immediately Guy Mowbray's like, oh, well, we don't like to see that, and which we don't. It doesn't look nice at all, and they immediately cut away. And And, being what it is, there was the usual horrid Twitter accounts who weren't nice about the images to the family, totally wrong. However, someone from Wales started a Just Giving page for them, raising £36,000 for them, claiming not everyone in the UK is horrible and we care.
Are you saying it's a grift?
No,
She cried on purpose.
No, I just think, keep your nose out, this bloke. Like, what are you doing?
They're just jealous, mate.
Well, it's just like there's no need for them to get involved and, playing high and mighty over this situation. And obviously, the Germans, as usual, were the only adults in the room when the family asked for the money to go to charity. So a good thing has come from it, but it's just like they've had to calm everybody down and go, look, let's not be silly here. It's nice you've raised some money. We shouldn't have it. That goes to a good cause.
Well, England can't be silly here.
No, not possible.
I'll tell you what, they're not.
No.
Neuer. Maguire. Urging his fellow defenders just to leave the area. As Neuer hoists another one their way. Maguire again.
Absolutely solid back there. Won everything.
That big head comes in handy.
Easy for you to say.
All meant in the best way. Missed that one. There's Gnabry. Stones down, Henderson clear. Brilliant. And that is it. It's finally happened. England beat Germany at a major tournament. If you're an England fan, take a look around and drink it in. Where you are, who you're with. Because this is one of those landmark football moments that don't come around too often. The next is on Saturday. Onwards to Rome, where things could get better and better and better. Jermaine.
You know what, Guy? I think he's got to be really proud of the players. It's a huge, huge moment for Gareth Southgate. The players have got to go out there and deliver in such a pressurised situation. They put a game plan together. They stuck to it. I thought they deserved the win. And to a man, they were absolutely brilliant.
Full time. Make this your ringtone. England 2, Germany 0.
Those last 7 minutes, Nick, they're as joyous as the Muller miss, and they're as joyous as the Kane goal and the Sterling goal, because, like, England didn't balls it up, man.
I know.
England didn't balls it up.
No, they didn't. It's full time. England's first win over Germany in a knockout game at a tournament for 55 years.
Fucking Jesus Christ.
For England,
55 years.
I know.
These are our rivals in our head.
Alleged rivals, yeah. And for England, in the studio, Gary Lineker goes through all these stats and stuff like that, and his voice is breaking. He's just like, what a time to be alive.
I know. Imagine being him, though, and having to keep it together in that situation. We can't keep it together.
And
a year later,
yeah.
just talking about it, and like in an empty room.
Could we even like think what we'd have been like at full time? I remember looking at my watch and like seeing my heart rate, and I was just like, what the hell is this? I mean, you're cutting around the crowd, and the Sheeran and Beckham are there again. Next to the royal family, you see David Seaman and Claude Makelele's there as well. I don't really know what Makelele's doing there.
No.
Just getting involved, just being glad he was there.
FIFA ambassador.
Yeah. Ferdinand's really positive in the studio, saying Southgate made the right decisions at the right time, which is, I should say, absolutely spot on. And it feels like for Mike Bassett, it's like the glorious vindication of the 4-4-2 moment, doesn't it? And it's just stunning.
That's the unrealistic bit in Mike Bassett as well.
Yeah. Oh, the manager's got it right, and he's just there stood smug. And Southgate's not like that at all. He just walks around and he's just congratulating all the players, and you see the celebrations afterwards, and it does not feel like it's the first knockout round of a tournament, does it? It feels like it's a semi.
Yeah, and it's not just, like you said, it's not just the first knockout. It's England versus Germany, man. The history. Gareth Southgate's own history, which we have not, well, we mentioned slightly in passing, didn't we? For him, I mean, he handles it all so well.
He must be sick of talking about it as well. And actually,
I wouldn't be sick of talking about it at this point.
No, but now he's kind of like, that's going to get remembered, but he'll have this still, won't he?
Yeah.
Have that. Actually, people should be talking to him about this and how he's helped England here. I mean, we get into the aftermath.
Yeah,
now,
let's do the aftermath.
It's that's kind of all she wrote for Germany at the tournament. Jurgen Löw has already said he was going to step down before the tournament, and Germany appoint Hansi Flick to replace him. And I found it really odd to know what to say about a team that that isn't England that's been knocked out of a tournament.
Yeah.
I don't really know what to say. I mean, the most notable aftermath were the videos that were shared from German beer parks all over the country, and their fans watching the Muller go through on goal and miss.
Yeah.
I remember watching the videos because they do exactly what the fans do in the stadium. They all cheer and then they realise it's not gone in. And you just think, how much would that have got shared if that was England fans? It would have been the biggest meme of the year, wouldn't it?
They'll be back, Germany.
Yeah, obviously.
I think they are already like dominating.
Yeah, most
again.
likely.
I mean, oh God, we're going to play them soon. But when the time this comes out, right?
Yeah, it won't be far away. A couple of days, I think. But yeah. So we go to England. The country went wild and started to dream of possibly making it to the final of a tournament. Those same politicians who took their anti-racist stand were soon pictured in England shirts and staged photos and videos of them supporting the team, who we were really on a roll now.
Yeah, they gripped the nation, man, and we had all our tables booked. So
yeah, this was when I remember I was like, right, so England have got Ukraine next, and then if they get through, they'll play. It was Denmark or somebody, and then I was like, okay, well,
was it France?
I don't think it was. No, so it was. There was a quarter final there, and then there was a semi final, and then there was the final.
Was it Sweden?
It may have been. Oh no, I think Ukraine played Sweden. It was Denmark and someone I can't quite remember, but it was seen as an easy kind of run to the final.
Yeah,
but I remember having to book all 3 tables for these games as well. Because actually, I think I was in Wales. Actually, I think I was on holiday, so I watched it from our hotel room, the Ukraine game. And I'd booked a pub.
Czech Republic it would have been, who had already played in the group and beat.
Oh, there you go then.
So, yeah, that does look like a nice path through to the final.
And, in reality, England do make it really easy. The Ukraine game in Rome a few days later, they're the only game that England play away from Wembley. And it seems should beat them, but, don't be overconfident about it because you're being too confident. And ends up being England's easiest game of the summer, 4-0. Harry Kane gets both of them next round.
Yeah, I wouldn't say we didn't get to the final so easily. That Denmark game was tough, but extra time.
Extra time.
We're doing extra time. That's very on England.
Yeah, to do it in extra time. And that felt like another thing, didn't it? It felt like another thing to get over and doing that and progress to the final, which, we all know Southgate's brave boys lose on penalties to Italy.
Yep.
I mean, I didn't think I'd be this emotionally invested in the Germany game.
No.
So I've kind of made my peace with, well, we'll do Italy at some point. But I'm kind of like, I don't actually think I'm ready now.
We're not doing that.
I think I've gone back on that. But, even though the final was a loss with everything that happened, we'll always have today's game. And like we said, it can't be understated what a huge moment this was for English football, fans and the nation.
So true.
And
for me, like the whole summer, like every waking moment, it was just dominated by thinking about the tournament. You'd bump into people, or you'd be at work, and it'd be acceptable to like end the meeting by going, "By the way, yeah, it's coming home," and you just But work itself, even that stuff took a back seat. I mean, people who aren't into football, I bet they'll love it around this time because nobody's flipping answering emails or anything.
Yeah.
You just focus on your plans for the next game. It was just so special. I just don't think this will ever be matched.
No.
For me personally, I remember when we lost in the final and going back, and I was like, it was like, this was supposed to be the summer of Jord because I turned 30 this summer, and like I was just like, right, England might win a tournament, but I'm never going to be like in my 20s again and just approaching, just right in it, man. I might regret saying that. I don't think it'll ever be matched, but it was at Wembley. And will we ever have a tournament with so much global flipping strangeness before it? That means like the release of watching football is more important than ever. I mean, there's tragedy in the world now.
Yeah, of course there is.
But it's like, it's a different type, isn't it? This was just frustration and fear and having that sort of community thing stripped away from us and thinking we might not get it back. And then you get this.
Seems a million miles away, doesn't it? We're kind of back to the norm now, and we've kind of got to the last bit now. This is almost it. So, Jord, we've got one question: was this England?
Absolutely not. That this is not. But just one thing before we kind of wrap up. I there was a real feeling that I had watching this. If England do win something in the next tournament or two, if players such as like Trippier, Walker, Pickford, Stones, even Sterling aren't there because, maybe they've been phased out or maybe they've retired, in case some of the older ones, that will be such a shame because they've been so crucial to this journey that they've been on under Southgate. This was very much not England, but it's the new England. It's Southgate's England who are rewriting their history at every corner. And even if this Euro 2020 was the highest point, to tell you what, that is not a bad high point.
It's what we all remember, isn't it? It's to me what Euro 96 should have been. It was England actually playing well at a home tournament and getting to like a latter stage. And yes, there was heartbreak and all that, but it's kind of felt a bit bigger. I mean, I know it's our generation compared to another's generation, Euro 96 and whatever, but yeah, I mean, again,
it was emotional.
Yeah,
but I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to watching some absolute 70s shite soon. Give me back to meaningless friendlies with players I don't know. It's too much, man. The height and emotion.
Are you saying bring on the Mick Channon?
Bring on the Mick Channon.
Right, I guess
Nick,
that's it. Almost.
Well, come on. Do you agree with me? Was it England?
Of course, it wasn't fucking England. It was a ridiculous thing to say, isn't it?
Great stuff. Well, I've got a train to catch as well, so we both agree. Thank you, Nick. That was an absolute pleasure.
I know. Thank you very much, mate.
Time